The nice thing is though, like once I get these dinosaurs dealt with, like I can just be out of the game for a little while.
You could be like me, where it's like, I've bought everything 100K. I should paint and build these at some point. Hello, and welcome to BonkTable. I'm Mass, and this is my co-host Mike.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about the updates that happened to Nords, Dweg, and Spires, but were teased on the Thursday happy hour on, I want to say that was September 14th they did it. Yeah, it was. And the rules dropped the exact day we record the podcast, what is sweet for us, because it means we don't have to schedule extra shit. And we're actually going to have this episode out early. I'm going to release it the next day in the morning for everyone to enjoy. But you probably already knew that because you've clicked on it or listened to it or whatever.
I gotta say though, this is the first time I've seen Mass willing to break the broadcast order of these that we set for ourselves. So this must be big.
Well, it's mostly just because I want it out there and So we have what we got. We got the next episode that we did record that was going to come out on Friday, but I'm going to move that 2 weeks. And this one's going to come out early, so tomorrow on Tuesday. And Friday we're just going to skip because I'm not going to put out a third fucking podcast. You kidding me? I got to talk that much?
Yeah.
However, I did drop, I believe, the bonus episode where we interviewed Tyler and Carl from Gen Con. I think I dropped that on a Wednesday. And that was the episode. Yeah. Or it was done early, you got listeners got an extra episode. Break it for good stuff. This one is kind of want to break it just because it just came out and we're also recording it the day it came out, and I'm yeah, I could just throw it out tomorrow. I don't give a fuck.
Strike while the takes are hot.
Yeah. All the hot takes. Do you have any hot takes actually for this? Have you really thought of
I probably will. To conserve the purity and rawness of my crazy, unhinged little baby emotions. I'm not going into this being ooh, I'm gonna get angry about this, or oh, this is good. I'm just, when you hear me having an opinion about something, it's it's hit my brain. Even if I've read it 100 times, you're getting it it's the first time ever. That's my commitment to the listener. Because I'm essentially a goldfish that has a day job.
I need to support my drinking habits.
No.
What do we got for PB news? There is a new production catalog. Yep. If I remember, I'll put the link in the show notes below. We're not going to review it like last time. Well, maybe we will. I don't know. That might be an episode, but I kind of want to do it, but my next problem is that on Tuesday, all the new scenarios get released. So that one will happen after the next scenario, because I want to play on them first before I kind of pass judgment on them, kind of thing. I feel like that's when you got to play a bit more. And then maybe we'll do the Sears catalog to Electric Boogaloo of this one. But anyway, the new production catalog came out. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Sealed Temple got models, bunch of more city-state stuff. The Satyr models. Spires got a bunch of stuff. We got the giant siege shrimp. What else there? Nord's werewolf and the Vogny Lord, I believe it's called.
Vargir.
It's a werewolf with a sword, so he's in charge. And they were gonna do that guy as as an artisan series, or no, a founders exclusive. They were gonna do him as a founders exclusive, but then they realized his warband options were gonna be super good. And they were like, nah, we got to get this out to the public. People really want to play with this. So I really appreciate that, actually, from PB.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to start a big war about it because I know I'm not going to change anybody's mind who thinks what they like if they don't think the same thing as me. But I don't think limited edition models are good for the most part. Overall, I would rather stuff was just always available, and it's not just because there's two Founders editions that I want and don't have.
But it is.
I can live with that, but it is just I don't know. It just sucks. Like if people want the stuff from your game, you should just be able to get it. This is my opinion. I know that this is somehow going to blow up and like people are going to be bleeding to death and dying on our Discord over this. Very innocuous opinion, but they're speculators, and I don't like them.
I'll tell people where you live so they can send you the broken remains of their Founders exclusive as a look what you've done.
Yeah,
they're just like piling up on your doorstep.
The problem is when you put somebody's personal information on the internet, you generally don't get broken toy pieces in the mail. But if somebody wants to come fight me about the collectability of resin miniature models, then hope you came to fight.
Okay, I'll counterpoint you. I don't mind them at all, and I kind of like them.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's got their own opinion about it, but I don't see what the benefit is, except that lets you say that you have something that somebody else doesn't, which I understand is valuable to people. It's just, it doesn't really...
So, here's the thing about them that I do like and why I'm not kind of up in arms about them more, is because each of the Founders exclusives, the Parade, Joust, the Mountain Stands, the Fire Wizard fucking one from Dweg, the old D Retinue one, like even the Brute Biomancer one, they are all models that already exist in the game and you can play already. It's not like it's get an exclusive and you unlock something new or something that no one else can take. Like if they brought out an exclusive that had how do I say this? Like, if it had, like, it's like, this is, I'm gonna use St. George and the Dragon Slayer. If that was on a base, and that character could take the Mounted Noble Lord's Warband, but the, like, character itself would say it was Clash 4, Defense 4 with a shield, had Blessed, like, shit like that. Oh, yeah,
then it would just be pay to win. Like,
yeah,
that would
exactly.
Be like, a huge problem, but it's just, like... not everybody is already into war games. I can definitely see somebody coming into this a year too late and feeling punished because they can't get, like, they just have zero access to models that existed for their faction, or they can pay a very, like, the problem with limited editions and exclusivity to me on top of this, since I guess we're just going to get into it now,
no, why not?
Is like, if limited editions were just direct from the people who make them to the people who want them, and that's how it mediated itself, then I would probably have a much more positive opinion. But the reality is, like, you can see in our LGS Discord right now, like, people were talking about that unit of Space Marines for Warhammer 40,000 that's an exclusive set of, I guess, Blood Angels that's a GameStop exclusive, and somebody in town has already gone through and pre-bought all the cases that were coming in. So, like, wow, what a fun thing for collectors.
I read
to have to pay a scalper's price because somebody has no job except for buying things that he thinks are going to be expensive in a few weeks.
What the fuck? I'm actually going into our local Discord for our fucking store, and I'm like, what the hell is happening in here? Like, I never read the 40k part.
Information is power, mass.
Yeah, well...
I read everything.
Thank God someone is, because, I'm too fucking busy editing to do that shit. Okay, so yes, I do agree with you there, because I think one of the big ones that a lot of people want, you include, especially you, particularly you, only you, is the Brood of Ogre, blah, blah, whatever the fuck the name is. The Brood.
Yep.
Yeah, and I believe right now that thing is on the Facebook buy groups for about $230, and I think that's American, to be honest. So it's even more
expensive. Cheap, because they spiked a few months ago. They were
because people were running out of them.
Yeah.
So the thing is like they don't change the rules or the stats of the game. But if you wanted that model represented on the table proper, you have to buy the Founders Exclusive to have it. So yes, I see your viewpoint and why it's bad. But also I do agree if Parabellum...
It's not bad, it's just annoying. Like, I guess let's get me out of the I hate everything trap, and we'll say it's not the worst thing in the world, but I'd just rather they did it a different way.
So, yeah, and I do agree, like, if it was just a buy direct, it would be better. Like, you can't get this in stores, buy it direct.
Anything that's collectible, unfortunately, is poisoned by the current state of mercantile commerce online.
What are you talking about? Didn't you know I scalped all the 3090s from our local city, and I run a crypto mine in my basement?
Yeah, exactly. Or buying Taylor Swift tickets so I can resell them for $8,000 a ticket.
I don't play the stocks. I play the Taylor Swift concert tickets.
You know, if you've got, it could probably be about as profitable as day trading, I would say. If for this period, for this Eras tour that people are very excited about, maybe you could make a career out of scalping Taylor Swift tickets, but you could make a good year or two.
Well, you just move your scalping skills to something else. That's the thing. You figure out what people want.
One hopes. Yeah.
Like one of the things I always find funny is 40K scalpers, like you just mentioned with the special GameStop Blood Angel thing. 40K scalpers were buying up the lion, and the book what came with the lion, or not, it didn't come with the lion, but it was released when the model was released. And they were just getting all bought up and then being sold for like super fucking high, and people were trying to buy it, and they're like, fucking 2 minutes passed in the web store, it's out of sale. Like, scalpers bought all of it. I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, I used to, like, I mean, I still do, I just don't focus on it as much, but like, I really like basketball sneakers and the Nike shoes and what have you, luxury goods, and that has made me so bitter towards like limited editions and stuff, because yeah, stuff gets botted in 30 seconds for the most part. Like, there was a long tail where you could buy a lot of these even direct from PB, and I just dragged my ass. But again, this really is not, no matter how, like, it's easy to be like, oh, Mike is just bitter because they didn't get the things that they wanted, and like, it's
true.
It's a really baby brain way of deflecting the points that I'm making. So everybody who hears this, think about that before you come for me.
The witch hunt happens.
It's just people want there's also, from a production standpoint, like, I would also make the argument that making these scarce doesn't really benefit PB monetarily in any significant fashion. Like, they only make 500 of each of them. Yeah, they still had to make the molds. Like, I can fire off a few more and give them to people. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Nobody's gonna sue you because you reprinted the Black Lotus.
Did it actually happen in Magic? I know they did a reprint of the Black Lotus, and it's not allowed
no,
to be
but that's
played.
Like, we can't, I mean, everybody's gonna give a shit for this. We can't get into it too much, but the big part of the reason why cards like the Black Lotus and other stuff don't get reprinted is because there's a list of cards that
Magic Gathering
Wizards,
yeah,
they refuse to reprint, but the reason why is because it will harm the value of the cards for speculators who previously bought them and are now treating them as an investment. And that's me putting it in the least charitable terms possible, and intentionally, and I'll be forthright about that. But it's also not technically wrong if you look at the facts.
I agree with you, because that's what happened. They were like, because I believe there was, what the fuck happened? Now, don't quote me on any of this, because this is just me going off the top of my head, and I'm not a huge follower of Magic. Is that there was a bunch of cards that people thought, like, these will never get reprinted, and they're going to make a ton of money over the years. So they're investments. And then Wizards reprinted a bunch of those cards, what dropped their value immensely. And as you said, all those speculators went after Wizards, and Wizards put out the list after that. Like, I believe that was the interaction what happened. Like, Wizard kind of hit a PR like witch hunt happened to them.
Yeah, which is like I don't know. We're so far.
We are so far
Can't
off of
speak
Conquest.
anymore on the matter, but the point is, Founders exclusive. Like, I think that fancy models are great. Like, that's why I like the whatever term they use for stuff, like the big fancy resin models, like the Artisan series. That's the one.
Yeah.
Artisan series is great because they're nice models. You pay a premium for them,
And they're always
but there
available.
isn't this weird pressure.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about it disappearing without, you know.
I might go buy one of those siege breakers, the Spire shrimp, as I've just come to call it. And I might just buy it just to like build and just put some like contrast paint on it, because I don't, and just kind of like do a bunch of water effects and like just make it look like a kraken or something. Like, just have some fun with it. Oh, maybe I could just fucking go hard on pink or something, like make it look like a big shrimp. Just because I think it looks cool.
Yeah, it's a great.
And I don't even
model.
play Spires because I don't know what the fuck is going on in that faction. Like,
yeah, it's no disrespect to Spires or its players, because it's definitely a strong faction.
Yes, I have found out if you
in
are
many
good,
ways.
if you're a good Spires player, oh boy,
Yeah,
taking some names.
It's just so antithetical to what I want out of a war game and its factions, that they're just, some people like cilantro and some people don't, and that's just that's Spires, and except I like cilantro and I don't think I would play Spires. So kind of a shitty analogy actually on the balance, but we got there.
Got there. Alright, so that's our news. Production catalog. If I remember, I'll throw it in the link below. You can also find it on the PB News channel in the BonkTable Discord, if you really want to look at it.
Oh, also Lady Jarl. I gotta give it up for that. That's I'm just happy about that.
Is that
I've made my opinions.
Sorry, is that a Founders exclusive?
I feel like it probably is. Like, I'm gonna buy it again. Like, I'm not I'm not making some big stand here. I'm just saying, like, it sucks, and you know what? It's fine. I can have that opinion.
No, yeah, you can, and that's why we had this talk of like we have two different viewpoints of these Founders exclusive, because I like them because they don't impact the rules and how you play the game. You're not buying power.
Which is all well and good,
and also it's a cool model, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna display case it more than I'm actually gonna play it when I finally do up my St. George and the Dragon. Yeah. However, I see from your viewpoint where it's like you want that actual model representation on the table for those like characters that can go on mounts, or characters that become brutes, like the Spires one and the Woodroon one, like the Brood.
So, it's also one last quick stab, actually, before we get going.
Yeah, hurt me.
The other thing is, and this isn't a criticism per se, but I just think it's something where maybe things have to be brought into greater alignment, is you have a model of, like, Brood of Omora, which technically, like, I can just put my matriarch beside the Raptors and say she's the Brood of Omora, and within the framework of the rules, it's legal. That would be valid, but if I'm making a custom Brood matriarch model, now I'm running afoul of weird rules for how I can create that and what I can create that from, and it's just like, I know it sounds innocuous, but there's just like, there's a weird inconsistency of messaging there to me when you bring something like limited edition models that represent options that technically don't have to be represented, but technically kind of do, and technically have conditions for how you can, I don't know, maybe I'm just being a baby. Fuck you. I'm the one with a podcast.
Oh my god. I was like, I'll make a strong counter. Like, yeah, nope. Oh my god. I was gonna say, like, maybe we should get together and do like a kit bashing day. We just read through the kit bashing rules and try to assemble something that is legal and see what we get to represent these models.
That sounds fun, actually.
Well, then we could either do it
I just like swearing.
I know you do. Like, and then we could go through the kit bashing rules, because like maybe we could do an episode of that or something like that. Like, just I'm
super into that.
Okay.
Anyway, forward and upward.
Yeah, let's go. The rule of the week is very short. It is untouchable. This regiment rerolls failed defense rolls of 6. Period. That's it.
Love it.
Why do you think I chose this one?
I couldn't have anything to do with the recent rules revisions that have occurred for different factions in the game, I'm sure. It probably was just chosen at random, because we haven't done many from the U's yet.
Yeah. Unstoppable. No, we did unyielding, because you got fucked over by city-states.
Yes, my logic has been destroyed. No, yeah, it's. I think it's. I mean, we agreed it's a significant part of one of the revisions to the Huskarls of the Nords. So
Yeah.
it seemed like it was.
So I'm just going to talk a bit about it now, but it's going to be more relevant for Nords and Huskarls. So the reason why we're doing Untouchable is because Huskarls gained it. And when I went into the Nords and read it, I was like, oh, they gained Untouchable. I'm like, what does Untouchable do? Scroll to the bottom. It's not in here. Okay, well, then it's in the core rules. And I went here and it's like, this regiment rules failed defense rolls of 6. Actually, really good. So Huskarls are defense 2, 3 with the shield, if I recall. And then they now have Untouchable, so they're rerolling 6s. And so it really solidifies their role as an anvil unit, what I do like, with a pretty good clash of 3. Untouchable is also really good in the fact that it is all defense rolls. So if you have an evasion stat, you can reroll your 6s. If you're getting shot by magic, you're rerolling your 6s. If you're getting shot in the face with a gun, you're rerolling your 6s. So it's a more encompassing bonus to your defense against more things than, let's say, just Blessed. Because Blessed is only for impact and clash, but it affects more dice because it's, all your defense rolls that you didn't succeed with. So I do like Untouchable. I do like that it's just a simple rule. And I do like seeing this on some more stuff that they want to have a bit more defense built into them, but not increase their defense stat. That's why I like this rule.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. Like, this is pure superstition, but I get more value out of a reroll 6's ability than I do out of a bonuses on 1's ability. So
yeah, because 1's hate.
I rate. Yeah, they truly do. But Untouchable, it's like I can speak to its value in a weird way because I use Flint Napper so much when I run Slingers in my Wadroon, and that's a reroll 6's for your shots.
Oh,
and
God.
it's you'll roll 5 6s and be like, holy shit, glad I spent 15 points on this.
Yep, and Huskarls just get this.
Yeah, it's I think it's a great way to increase their survivability and give them a little bit of texture versus the other very anvil unit of this army.
Yeah, like, I'm not sure. I'm just gonna go into the fucking Nords book. This it? No. This it? Yes. I just want to check the Velks really quick because I don't know what their point cost off the top of my head is. I know
I did the same at 150 points for an MSU. It's 45 points, both of them for additional stands. But to really, I feel like get the most out of the Huskarls, you're probably and people argue about this all the time. So I know that people are going to disagree with me, but I feel like you at least like a standard bear, obviously, which got a point drop, which is good. It's only 10 points on the Huskarls now, versus 15 points on the Velks. But the Thane and the Skald both bring value to the table, and I am partial to taking both, even though it's a lot of points.
One with bravery,
but then that's giving you a conditional defense 4 with Untouchable, and that's pretty darn tough.
Defense. Then you have to activate them first.
So that's the downside.
Yeah, so once they activate, your defense 4 with reroll 6s. That's a really good anvil. So I think more than making them complementary to one another, this modification adds to the value that, it makes Huskarls a more attractive choice as an anvil unit, whereas before it was like go get yourself some Velks. Yeah. The other thing I want to talk about between Huskarls and Velks is now Velks are restricted to one character, while Huskarls are in the Jarl, the Conning. I don't think they're in the Blooded. I don't think they're in the Shaman. Gotta look at the characters now. Jarl can take Huskarls. Blooded cannot take Huskarls at all. Shami boy, what do you got?
Nope. Shaman can't. The Volva can, but
yeah, but they're restricted. But why would you?
Yeah, redundant, restricted, and pointless in light of the options.
So here's the only reason I think you would take restricted Huskarls in a Volva is if you needed another scoring, like an MSU of Huskarls to score, and the only warband open to do it in was the Volvas.
Yeah, that's exactly why I think that's there.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing. It's weird, of course, but it's like it's a very clear-cut, small option available to you if you ever put yourself list building wise into that corner. You have an out.
Yeah, it does seem like it's very mechanically just there to give you the extra slots for the very basic Nords warband options, but most people look at it and they're like, "What the hell? I don't get this."
Yeah. So
which is fair. In a vacuum, it doesn't make sense.
Should we just get into it and do Nords because we're already talking about Nords?
Might as well.
All right, let's go to the top.
I feel like this is where the most stuff has changed too.
Yeah, Dweg had a bunch of changes, so we have to hit up Dweg, Spires, Nords, Old Dominion, surprisingly. One rule in city states. I don't know, do you want to do the meme of 100 Kingdoms?
I mean, we can. Wadroon were perfect and received no changes, so...
Congrats. You're the only
Congrats,
one.
Orcs.
Yeah. 100 Kingdoms, there's 2 changes. We'll talk about Focus when we just go through it in Nords, because it's going to literally happen to every single book, and that's why...
Yeah, like everybody got Focus.
So that's why everyone changed. But Ash and Dawn got changed to their defense. It is now Defense 4.
Huge. That's a me ass joke. And now you know what? I understand why people get so mad.
Yeah, they PB didn't change the color of the text from red to black.
The same thing with smartass. Well, dinosaurs went from 14 wounds to 14 wounds.
Oh, wow.
2 can play in that game.
They still die like a bunch of bitches.
Quite often. I mean, if you misapply them, but I've seen them do
something
incredible acts too. So
incredible acts into the faces of things that they probably shouldn't be attacking, or just murdering a bunch of militia bowmen.
Hey, killing people is killing people.
Yeah. Should we get on with Nords?
Yeah. So the Nords got extensive modifications to their army rules first and foremost. So they used to only have one, which was Blood of the Einherjar, Einherjar,
Einherjar. I had to
nerf.
Is it nerfs? I don't think it was nerfs.
No. Sorry, I was just making noises instead of saying the name correctly. It's not really. I don't think any of these are necessarily nerfs. People got opinions, but
well, here's the thing. Army rules. The army follows all faction special rules seen below. I think you get all 3.
Yeah.
I don't like. Do you pick? Did the app update?
Nope. It's you just get them all.
Oh.
So, but I think it's might as well open with Blood of the Einherjar because that's the one that's actually like modified, whereas the other ones are just brand new.
Mm-hmm.
So before, the way that worked was when your units would get take wounds, they would get +1 attack, and if they went to half stands, then they would get flurry.
Now they
or if they had flurry, they would get +1 attack again.
2+2 attack.
Yeah, so generally speaking, you were giving up a lot to get not very much in return. People generally agreed it was underwhelming. The only time it really benefited me was if you had Flurry on a Clash 2 unit, then it was kind of like if they were broken, you didn't have to waste an action rallying, and then, or like you would rally and then you would still get sort of like a weak Inspire from the reroll, is what I mean to say. And then they would die before you would get to use them again with a proper Inspire because they are a single stand for you to get the Flurry. But So people didn't like it. That got changed. So now, I'm not going to read all the lore, but it is great. That's actually, I enjoyed that a lot. Because I love the story of the Einarhar just coming back and just beating giant ass until...
Do you listen to any of the lore episodes I make?
So here's the thing. I have a lot of intentions to listen to a lot of things that I just haven't yet. But I am going.
My co-host, everyone, really supporting the group project we have going on right now.
Hey, I got nothing. But
Oh my
by
God.
the way, the text is good, but the rule text. Sorry, was there something that you wanted to mention there as well?
No, I'm waiting for you to read. I mostly just wanted to yank your chain on. I specifically did one character for the first episode of the lore reading, specifically for you, by the way.
I know, and I appreciate that, and I can, believe me, I hold this knowledge both in my mind and in my heart.
Aw, thank you.
And when the time comes, I will make good on that promise that I made silently to you with my intentions.
Aw.
But to our podcast listeners, what do the Einarhar? Well, an infantry or brute regiment in your army has any non-character wounded stands or is missing stands as a result of casualties. This regiment adds +1 to their attacks characteristics, so very similar to how it was before. In addition, when a character stand in this army participates in a duel action and destroys an enemy character stand, the enemy regiment the destroyed character stand was currently attached to immediately becomes broken, and if the regiment was already broken prior to the duel action, it instead becomes shattered. So now you can, with a well-placed duel, one-shot a regiment.
So I think this becomes the wizard killer.
Yeah.
Because wizards for sure do not want to duel at all. And they for sure do not want to duel Nords characters. Especially Nords characters that are built to duel. But even then, like a Conagir baseline dueling, really terrifying. I think a blooded baseline dueling is really terrifying. A Jarl can probably do it, but he might get fucked up. But then again, a lot of characters are like Clash 1, so the fuck does he care? So you just get in, immediately. If you do enough damage and break the regiment, you then declare a duel. They can't deny. You kill the character and they shatter, so they're gone. If you declare a duel and they decline and now they're broken, and then next turn you, let's say, duel, draw your character card right at the top of your deck and then duel, they can be shattered right off the bat. So you can actually, do some mean stuff. And this will for sure kill the Biomancer with the massive block of Force-Grown Drones with lethal demise and healing, so you kill yourself on the Force-Grown Drone block as the Biomancer heals them all. So now, because you'll break them and then you could just duel them and shatter the entire unit and just they're done. And you're like, well, there goes 11 stands of Force-Grown Drones. I also believe this ties in really well with Seize the Day. Is it
That's
Eagle?
under... yeah, I believe it is. I'm just confirming that. There's a couple of interesting synergies with
the break
with
duel.
this ability.
Yeah.
But Eagle, so you get Seize the Day, which everybody misses having that. I feel like every old Grog Conquest player misses being able to turn the tide.
The aspects. Where the fuck is it?
It's at the back of the book.
Oh, is it? That's why I can't. Okay. Seize the Day draw event. Okay, what the fuck does Seize the Day draw event do?
It's just turn the tide.
Okay, so. Okay, then
essentially,
where's the double duel? Is it the High King one?
The double duel doesn't exist, but that's something that we need to talk about with all this, because I've thought a lot about how this all works, and people were, I don't know, whatever. So I only see positives from this, but I think maybe I'm just, who knows? Maybe I'm misunderstanding things because other people didn't. But so you got the synergy with Seize the Day, so that way you can. And what I like is that there's two ways that you can approach leveraging this ability, and one is you can clash first and then duel, or you can duel first and then clash, depending on what's gonna be the easiest pathway to shattering the unit.
Yeah.
So it's not just it's modal. It's not the most versatile thing in the world, but at least you've got options for how to execute it.
Yeah, I do enjoy this one, and it's also like just there, infantry
Yeah.
and brutes. Like I do like how the brutes did the brutes get it before the
Um,
+1 attacks. Yeah, they did, didn't
I
they?
think that I'm pretty sure that they did. I think it was so. Originally, it was everyone, and then it was everyone but the giants, except for the
Mountain.
mountain Jotnar,
Oh,
and then now it's current form.
yeah, I believe. Well, we're gonna go check the mountain, but I believe he lost it.
Yeah.
So
Um,
sad on
but
him.
So Watchful Eye of the High Kings, though, we'll just bounce over to that because it's relevant to how this all works. And I had figured out a really broken combo with this, or a really broken way to apply this that they've eliminated now, which is for the best.
Thank God.
So this character can never refuse to participate in a duel action and must always perform a free out-of-sequence duel action every time it activates. If possible, when an enemy character stand refuses to participate in a duel with this character stand, this regiment is attached to reroll successful. The regiment. It's attached to. Hold on, why am I having such a hard time with this? When an enemy character stand refuses to participate in a duel with this character stand, the regiment it's attached to reroll successful morale tests until the end of the round, in addition to being broken.
It's because I figured it out. It's because the word "it" is actually "is." That's spelled incorrectly.
I was just worried it was my mistake for a second there, and I didn't want to be arrogant about it until I'm sure. So the way that this used to work is that you could double duel units and then get even dumber with it and do stuff like duel, seize the day, activate your unit, clash, duel.
Jesus.
Just really stupid stuff. So they needed to fix it, but duels were in such a bad state that you could almost never pull off the crazy stuff without getting killed. So
yeah,
it was kind of balanced by that.
I think you're gonna mainly use this to kill wizards though, and their regiments.
Yeah. It's there's still gonna be units that aren't impacted by this that you can't force into a duel, that aren't going to be reasonable picks against this. Maybe the guy just fights back too good. So it's not an ability that you're going to use in every single engagement or into every unit that you play into, but
it's there.
I think with a little bit of planning and finesse, it actually has very, not only is it strong in and of itself, but the existence of it creates a pressure point that didn't exist for people who were fighting Nords in the past.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. Like, things I don't think you're going to duel is like a Polemarch, Zilliarch, and these guys some of these guys are going to take some more character upgrades. They're going to be really not good to duel. Like, I know the Zilliarchs like to grab Gladiator and the blessed armor or whatever and just go to town and like Praetorians. Like, you're not gonna duel that guy, fuck him.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're taking out a kitted out Cannoneer, like the only things that you're really going to be scared of are like Hold Ray,
the Quicksilver Hold Ray,
Zilliarch, yeah, Quicksilver Hold Ray. Like, I mean, it becomes who's carrying the Quicksilver weapon race at that point, assuming you have two people who are really into their duelist characters, which
most
is
people
a perfectly reasonable scenario.
Well, I feel like with dueling, like a lot of people go into it when they're starting out the game and they realize like, man, people aren't dueling me. It's probably because they're not putting the regiments to fight your dueling character into the dueling character. Like, they're just throwing stuff without characters at you. Yeah, because I don't want to lose my character.
Yeah.
It was really what was I playing? I think I was playing a Dweg player who had like the command stands could fight, and he's like, my command stand is going to attack your character, and I'm like, there's no character in that regiment.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that's a good feeling because they start to their brains turn off and they start to just go, I'm gonna duel that. And you're like, there's nothing to fucking duel here, man.
Yeah, it's like, we're your characters, and I'm like, well, I had this. You see this mounted noble lord and his massive bust of veteran household knights. Yeah, the ones that killed all my wardens. Yeah, that was where the character was.
Yeah, my character is 11 inches from the line that I run my units in from, exactly. No further.
Yeah. So, yeah, I there is some play with this, but then it also falls into people will just not be around to duel because they don't want to fucking die.
Yeah. And that's something that you have to be careful of too. Like, there's always the possibility that you'll either, by virtue of the person successfully playing around it, or just simply having a list where it doesn't really matter that much, or it's not that possible. Like, there's the possibility that you won't get value about this. And I'm noticing. How do I say this without making a lot of enemies? There are people in war games who think that special rules should only be extremely high value, always beneficial, and universally applicable. And I don't think that makes for a good or fun war game in general. I think having stuff that you need to use finesse to be successful with, and not necessarily is going to have a really obvious or clear use case 100% of the time. Like, this is where actually the game starts to, develop depth that is good to have. So I think this is a good ability because it does inform your list building without being this thing where it's like, well, I have to build a super duelist nuclear bomb that runs in and just smashes everybody.
No, you can get a Jarl to go kill a chapter mage or something with it, and then shatter the menace.
And that's great. Like,
yeah, like you can get a Jarl to kill a fucking Imperial Actually, best one, Imperial officer in a bunch of Steel Legion or even the Gilded Legion. You go in, duel, they decline. You can't double duel now, can you? Yeah, we just confirmed that. Next turn, you duel them again, and they shatter. Like, there you go. You just killed off 10 stands of Gilded Legion because you killed the Imperial officer. Nice.
Unless for some reason they can't break. Who are the ones who can't break?
Dauntless with the Noble Lord on the Household Guard.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, you can totally do it.
You're gonna break them. Yeah. MFs. And also, so the other thing is, I want to mention, and that this dovetails with another one of the special rules, because apparently we can't do this in an organized, coherent way. So the Prophecy Unfulfilled, I'll just knock this one off real quick so that we can talk about it too. This one's a great one. While an enemy regiment is currently engaged by a friendly regiment, other non-monster friendly regiments add 2+ inches to their charge distance when they make a charge into that engaged enemy regiment.
Fucking great.
Yeah, amazing. And the way that you can further modify that, but that's like, so you're the way the rules are phrased, that applies to a lot of your 6+ inch movement guys.
Oh yeah, no, getting up to 8, great,
terrific.
Because it doesn't affect monsters like your Jotnars, I am totally going to. So I'm going to see probably 2 things evolve from here. These are my theoretical mind spinning away. 2 things are going to evolve. Either Nords players are going to throw the Jotnars in first to do damage, and maybe they throw like an ice or a mountain Jotnar into a big brick, and then they've now increased the threat range for Raiders, Valkyries, Huskarls, Ogre, all that other stuff, Trolls, to then charge in and hit that thing as well.
Yeah.
Also, and then the other way I see this is played is you have a bunch of MSUs of Raiders running around, and their whole job is to just march charge and to engage stuff, just to trigger this for the things that are actually going to do work done, like Ogre, Trolls, anyone else who can do some damage, maybe werewolves and shit. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, all that other stuff. So I feel like those are going to be the 2 ways you build in for this rule, is you get the monsters to go first because they're not benefiting from it anyway, or you're just running a bunch of MSUs you don't really care about because they're fucking raiders, or even like White Waste tribesmen because they're even cheaper, just to trigger it on more stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, even like if you like with the idea of the MSUs of raiders in mind, you can do something like play your raiders back, and be cagey with them. Get your Valks into position where it's like you got to get into, like, the enemy has to stick into them either because they're going to take a charge or because you're on a point that they want. Like, you can force that engagement and then just send, just like, I don't know, for some reason. Yeah, what I imagined was just like somebody getting pummeled with yo-yos for some reason. That's kind of the idea. Just like all these raiders just swinging in and just.
Well,
kicking the shit out of that thing, and then hopefully you do enough to,
Well, here's the other thing. You could just run up your anvils to be anvils and then have your hammers hit shit from further away to keep them safer, because Nord hammers, like, I'm using Ugers as example because they're cleave 2, aren't very tanky, and the safest way to stay alive in any wargame is to be out of range, so increasing your threat range makes you be able to stay out of range of other stuff.
Yeah. Being able to consistently outrange equivalent class units is, like, that's something that Wadrun has to work really hard for, and rightfully so, because it's extremely powerful. So just having it as an army ability, and all you have to do is go pick a fight, like,
sweet.
Yeah, it's great.
Here's the other thing. Even if you don't even build for this army role, like, you don't go like, oh, we're going to take all the monsters we're going to hit first, then we're going to get all the other guys, or we're going to take a bunch of MSUs to, like, really benefit from it. Even if you just run your normal list, you're still getting benefit from this because it's just always on. Like, it's still beneficial to slam, at times, 2 regiments into a thing because you need to kill it. Like, this is very good.
It's always on.
Yeah, it's always on.
And, sorry, what I meant to say there is, and you don't need to do anything that you're not already doing to get the value out of it. So in stark contrast to what I was saying about how not every rule needs to be good and always applicable, here's one that is.
Yeah, and it's good.
And
it's great. Nords players should be fucking thrilled with this rule.
Yeah, can't speak enough to that. Also, just Raiders with a shield better. It just feels nice to say that they go up to, like,
the fuck is a shield?
9 plus a die roll charge.
Oh, that's the speed one, isn't it? Yeah, plus. Oh my god,
that's hideous. Like, Raiders have gotten such a glow up that did not touch their stat lines or special rules in the slightest. And that's pretty. Like, I really want to mess around and make some Raider builds with this now.
I will give props to PB for this one. This one's good, and also the indirect buff to Raiders like that. That's also really good. Like, good job, well done.
Overall, these rules so far are good. The next one is at first when I first read this rule get spoiled, I thought it was the only rule that they were getting, and I was like, holy shit, this is the worst change to an army that has probably ever happened in the history of war games. But I didn't have the additional context. So, Ice, Flesh, and Blood. Medium and heavy regiments from this army charging through a piece of hindering terrain can benefit from the inspired special rule.
Sweet.
In addition, all the regiments in this army do not suffer penalties when at least half their total stands are within a piece of water terrain. And furthermore, all regiments in this army suffer half wounds round up as a result of zonal terrain special rules.
So this is your dangerous, and is it hindering what also does damage? What's the other one? There's like super dangerous broken, and then regular dangerous.
Yeah, there's broken, dangerous, hindering.
Is broken the one where it's on a 6 per stand you take a wound, and then dangerous is on a 4 per stand you take a wound?
Something like that. I don't remember which word is the most dangerous out of all of them.
I don't remember either. I just remember playing that one tournament where we had on a bunch of stuff, and I was like, fuck my life, I'm playing cavalry.
It might be perilous terrain.
It's something.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different mean terrains. The reality is, it seems like most people don't play with enough zonal terrain and stuff. And without enough conditions, I know usually we're pretty lazy locally and are just like obscuring, because that's generally the one that's most impactful.
Yep.
And the other ones, like, they tend to inordinately impact one army or another, so for that reason it just feels self-serving, like when I'm playing an all cav list, to be like broken ground. Like, it's just like,
thank you.
I don't want to be like the baby who's leveraging every possible mechanical advantage. So that's why there needs to be guidelines for how a table should be composed, and the amount of these different terrains that we're using. Like, I know that some people will tell you that it's very specific to the kinds of tables that you're building and things like that, but I think for a competitive style match between 2 individuals, we should have an idea of what
we're dealing
you would expect to have to be dealing with.
Yeah. There are times where I play tables that are like fucking absurd. There'll be a battle report out at some point. What is the OG Hannah Goblin list versus like a pre-update Spires, and the only thing that really changes is maybe some points because of the what was used, and yeah, really that. Everything else is pretty consistent, but the table is absolutely absurd. While my last game on Thursday, where I was playing the gun line into the massive blocks of Gilded Legion, there was 3 buildings and then 3 obscuring terrain. I'm playing a literal gun line, like every single unit could shoot. So it was like, this is all in my I don't want to use disfavor, but it's all against me. Like it's not benefiting at all. It allows my opponent, and my opponent uses the terrain well. And it's just like sometimes I just play into the hard stuff because it kind of helps you grow as a player to figure that stuff out if you do ever end up on a table like that in a tournament. Like I remember there was a War Machine tournament, like one of the big ones. I think it was like Warfare Weekend or something. Like it was a big convention, and there was this one caster came out and this one army that was all about like they could see through forests and they gained bonuses while in forests. And I think the finals table was that list on a table that literally was covered in forest. Like there was no other terrain, so it was like they were just fated to win.
Yeah.
So it's good to play on those tables every once in a while, just because you'll encounter them. But it's not, I don't find it okay to play on those tables like every single time, because it's just like a detriment to yourself. Like you're like, oh, okay, like there's not like it's just a detriment to yourself. Like, and sometimes it's just like, okay, can I like at least do something, please?
And that's not necessarily, so that's where it gets into why there needs to be like a guideline or a way to derive like a balanced table setup, because I think they're completely eliminating those things because they're not of a strict advantage to one player is also like not necessarily how to do it either. So there needs to be a way to balance it so that there are things that are, I guess, elements that are equally unfair to everyone, and a way to ensure that a table has a balanced amount of those in places that are, because you'll always see a conquest table where there's a water element in the back corner of a deployment zone where it's never
not
like, yeah, okay, I'll take the -1 clash for my deployment moves and then never have to think about this again.
Yeah, like I know in the scenario packet it says like it wants 2 zonal terrain, 2 obstructions, 2 whatevers.
Yeah, but if you're throwing all those in the corners, then
yeah, great. I get you. Like there should be a better.
This is problem. This is
another conversation. This is a totally another podcast episode.
But I would like the idea where zonal terrain is something that's impactful to the point where I do maybe have to give a little bit more thought to it at the list building phase of things. Sorry, go ahead.
I would say we would have to come back to this one for an episode, because there's a whole thing I would open up that I know we will not get like not even past the start of Nords.
Yeah, but the point is, this rule is good.
Yes, I do enjoy it. If it was just this rule for Nords, I'd be like, okay, it's very thematic for Nords because it's, they're Vikings getting out of the water and everything. Of course, they wouldn't care about water. Yeah, they don't care about terrain because they have to get out of the water and then go find the church to go burn down and take all the gold from. But so I would say this rule is not that great if it was by itself, but with the addition of the other 3 army rules, it fits right in there as a nice tertiary rule that just lore-wise ties everything together and makes you feel really thematic for the army itself.
Yeah. The only issue is how much mileage or how much you're going to experience the rule existing is really going to be dependent on the kind of tables that you play on.
Yeah, so it's going to be meta dependent. And that's really nice because it's, if you do get a lot of use out of this rule, great. If you don't, guess what? You got 2 other rules.
Yeah, like you aren't being. It's a nice bonus more than anything else. It doesn't really define the faction, but it does reinforce a lot of it, and it lets you. So it reinforces between the boosts to your range. One of the supremacy abilities that got changed that we're going to get into here as well. I think overall, what these changes seem to support in general is riskier play for the Nords, which
fits them thematically.
Whether or not that's good, like, it's thematic, and I think it's cool for them. Whether or not that's good or not is going to depend on the upcoming scenario pack. But
well, that's going to be released tomorrow.
Yeah,
so yeah, the scenario pack is going to be. It's the army rules, and the scenario pack is going to determine how you build your lists. Then what everyone else is doing is also going to determine how you build your list, because you got to build for your meta, because those are the people you're playing against. You're not playing against me, you're playing against your meta. And yeah, that's it.
Unless your local 100 Kingdoms player just gets all of his ideas for how to play from Mass, in which case...
Yeah, you're fucked.
Just playing a shittier version of Mass.
There is so much trash. Like, it's not trash in the sense that it's garbage. It's just like, here's some Dark Horse jank, here's some dumb ideas. Why does these work? It's because I'm good, baby. So stupid. Alright, should we go to the Jarl and the surprise attack?
Yeah.
It has an exclamation mark. Surprise attack!
Surprise attack! This hasn't changed as much as the red text would make you think. All friendly infantry regiments gain the Opportunist special rule, as well as add +1 to their attacks characteristic when performing a clash action against the flank or rear of an enemy regiment. Furthermore, light regiments with a character stand currently attached to them can seize territory. The supremacy ability is always considered to be active regardless of whether the character stand is currently on the battlefield or having been destroyed. I think this pretext has changed to how character scoring is going to be in the new scenario pack.
100%.
Perfectly honest.
Yeah, I think
they're getting rid of that, which sucks because I've really been enjoying building around exploiting unit weights. But
yeah, and there was talk, I know, on the Discord about how people don't like the weight of the character affecting like the unit, allowing them to score, and I'm like, I kind of liked it just because like you could shore up a weakness of scoring in your list building by throwing a medium character and a light, and just having it there. I know as a 100 Kingdoms player, I did all the fucking time with the Imperial Officer and the Merc Crossbows, the 100 Cadre, or whatever else. Like, or I put the Chapter Mage and some Men at Arms and go sit on the zone and cast some spells. But like, I didn't mind it. It just shored up a list building weakness that you could resolve in your list building. With this change though, and with those scenarios come out tomorrow, I'm really curious about, is that going to be a change? Because if it is the change, then this makes sense. If it isn't, then like, what the fuck is this doing here? What does that actually mean?
Well, I think the other possibility is with this, like, you can put like a shaman and score into a light regiment. So it does give you a little more flexibility in terms of what can become a scoring piece, even if the rules don't change. But
you're right.
The phrasing of it does make me feel like this is pretexting a more impactful change on the scenario pack side of things. But the other side of that coin is, in my opinion, and again, as somebody who is exploiting the hell out of this, almost every faction had a way to score as soon as it was possible to do so. Almost every faction had a way that you could build a regiment to turn 1 an objective marker when it comes in on tier 2 or turn 2, or like on the second turn. So it got to the point where like these the rules that they established for scoring were so easy to break that there was no... It became more of a have-not thing than a have thing, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, if you didn't have a way to do it, you're kind of fucked, because everybody else just can.
Yeah, and that's...
So this seems like it shifts it more to being able to score when you're not supposed to be able to, or with units that you otherwise wouldn't be able to, is now becoming part of potentially the Nord character. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll look like I'm full of shit in...
Well, we have no idea because we don't have the scenario packet. But if that is the case, where characters can no longer score, and this is a supremacy that allows you to score...
Huge.
Jarl stock went up. Simple as that. You gotta redo the supremacy episode for the Jarl.
Yeah, I think we would have to maybe reevaluate things. The other thing is, this now joins the hallowed halls of supremacy abilities that are active, regardless of whether the character stand is on the battlefield or having been destroyed. And again,
You imagine this guy gets off the boat of like 100 Kingdoms D-Day, immediately gets shot, and they're like, secure the objectives, get his body.
Yeah.
He's just like
That's
getting
literally what I
dragged along.
imagine. The sniper's bullet piercing his little cone, horny Viking helmet.
Yeah.
He goes down, everybody else is just like, nah.
It's like,
But that's good, because... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just fucking around still with the D-Day joke.
It's I think this is good. I think it further reinforces the whole like risky play thing, because now you can gamble with your warlord and not lose valuable supremacy that's going to sort of define how you do run an army that makes use of this supremacy, because like getting opportunists is big.
You know what? This also combos well with the prophecy unfulfilled, because one of my issues about charging someone in the side was usually like, if I could do it, I was too far over to actually get there. So it was like, well, I'm never gonna do it because everyone's coming at you straight on. But with that +2 charge movement, you might be able to just do it and then get the benefit of the opportunist, get that +1 attack. Maybe you're injured, so you get another +1 attack, and then you're just re-rolling your dice into someone's side.
Yeah, it's
only on the infantry, though. So remember that.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of, or at least some of them, like the Fenner Beast packs, do get opportunists natively as a cavalry unit, so that's it's not bad. Like it's still just it's not a deal breaking condition for the special rule, but I think it it's just great.
I think he went up in stock. Like the scenario pack is really going to tell, though.
Yeah.
Should we get moving?
But, I guess we might as well keep it rolling.
We just skip everything all the way
Luckily,
down
there's
to the banners.
Pretty much just whip through most of this. Raven Messengers mainly just got some cleanup in terms of when and how it applies with relation to being broken.
Yep. After all modifiers is in brackets to let you know that your size of regiment counts for that resolve bonus you're sending out in your 12-inch bubble.
Yeah, so it's good to you're incentivized to put them in a brick.
What else is in here? Wow, and then it's just more skipping. Yeah, like I don't have much to say about that. I feel that's more like clerical stuff, so it's like, yay.
It's fine. Like it makes sure that it works the way that you were probably playing it anyway. Watchful Eye of the High Kings we mainly discussed. So that's really just
it requires combat tier 3. It's 25 points. I do like it because you get that free out of sequence duel. This character's must perform a free.
It seems like something that's become part of the Nords design now is re-rolling morale tests, which is
and especially re-rolling that morale test is kind of nice because that's just more damage. My only issue is that it's combat tier 3 and then it's 25 points, so it kind of gets into that like Art of War territory. Like you go buy tactics 1 through 3 and then you buy Art of War, what's another 30 points, so you're spending 60 points for this thing. Like
it's a big investment.
Yeah, and like I can kind of see it if you have points left over. I don't know if people are going to build into it, but like if they for some reason have like 25 points over, they're like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, I mean it's hard to say. We'll have to see how things develop. I'm going to test different degrees of building into being a duelist and see how it works out. So I'm interested to see how something like this does play out. I mean, the re-rolling successful morale tests, there's a good chance that you're already getting that from somewhere else, so that in and of itself doesn't have a huge amount of stock, but getting the extra duel is not bad. That also, so the free out-of-sequence duel action, also the way the rules is written, it gives you the flexibility to do something like unbreak your unit and then duel as well. So also good to, like, when you get into a protracted fight and your unit is breaking, if it's a tough one, maybe even more than once, being able to undo that for free is very, very valuable in my experience.
Oh yeah.
And then focus, this one we can say it now, and then it's just good forever because it's the same for every army.
We have to talk about it again for Dweg because it's the only one that matters.
Yeah. So, character stand, reroll 2 failed spellcasting die rolls when performing a spellcasting action. These rerolls can only be used in one spellcasting action per activation.
It's literally to stop you from using it on the double cast. The only two factions that can have double cast are Dweghom and the Archimandrite from Old Dominion. It is literally for those two, and I am 100% fine with that, and that is a good change.
Yep.
And I like it. That's really it. I might say more during the Dweg part, but it basically pulls that top end down to a more reasonable level. Okay. Yeah, that's that part. Spells. Hela's Caress, the one that gives Decay 3 to a regiment, now has scaling. I guess it didn't have scaling before.
Yeah, it didn't, which was pretty cool, but generally, like, you had other things to cast, so this... I don't know what the logic behind making an already less appealing spell less appealing was, but that an aspect of Fenrir, I feel like you're almost never casting. Glory of Valhalla, pretty rare that you're going to come into that. It's really like Warbringer's Light and Fruit of the Golden Tree are
Heal, Warbringer's Light, Blessed, yeah.
Why would you cast anything else?
You talk about Regiment gets Terrifying 1 for the end of the round.
Yeah, wow. Ooh, scaling.
Yeah, scaling.
So you can fuck up giving your big block of guys Terrifying 1.
Alright, Regiment gets +2 to resolve. Yeah, but bleh. Oh, man. God damn it.
Yeah, but, I mean, we could do a whole episode on how magic is... which every time we say that, we do it, so I'm sure that's going to be... Look out for that in the next 6 to 8 weeks. But... yeah, it's there's not really much to say beyond they did that.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
Next thing down, Huskarls. We kind of talked about these guys, but they gained the untouchable rule for that rerolling 6s. Good change, like it. Establishes their defensive role. Defense 2 of the shield to 3, rerolling 6s against magic, range, and melee and impacts. Super good.
Yeah.
10-point standard, also good. Like, I do like these two changes to really differentiate them between them and the Velks, because it was kind of like if you wanted an anvil, you go take the Velks. If you wanted, I think it was medium back-end scoring, I think what you did is you took a Raider unit. Where's Raiders?
Or Fenner.
Well, Fenners are now 140. I think there was something else before, but...
Oh, they were much cheaper, yeah.
Yeah. Let me go find Raiders. Jesus, where the hell are they? My god, okay. 110, and then you went and took a captain for 10 points, so 120 points to just do back-end scoring with a bunch of Raiders. Like, you could do it that way as well. But this kind of sets them up to be like that anvil unit, though. But it's a more generalist anvil, while Velks become a more specialized melee defensive anvil, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, the Untouchable also helps, I feel like, with making them into a platform for a dueling monster, because Untouchable is going to help you tank those ranged hits if you're trying to get into a soft target, which generally is going to be pummeling you with ranged hits.
The Huskarls are the Conan Gear delivery system.
Yeah. I think that Untouchable definitely supports that, especially with the Skane and the Thald. Like, they're not breaking. They have high defense, high resolve. They're getting through.
Yeah, when they activate...
the Scald is ostensibly redundant, but Bravery, like I discussed, is good to have.
But even then, going to Resolve 4 keeps guys alive. Going up to Defense 4 with Untouchable keeps, like... You're investing points into these guys for sure, and it is a lot of points, because, like, if you take the standard Scald and Thane, it's 50 fucking points, and then let's say you take 6 stands, Conan Gear in them, so fuck, do I have to go get a calculator because I can't do 45. Times 3 plus 150, 285 plus 50, 335 for 6 stand block, and you throw a Conan Gear in that for 7, so you have that, you don't have that weird shatter point. For maybe a decked out dueling Conan Gear, it's a lot of points, but it's something you can do, but it's also only 335. It's not bad. Like,
it's a lot of points, and I don't feel comfortable definitively evaluating it until I've tried it on the table, because it is a bit like it's a big investment, but as I've said in the past, if something costs a lot of points and it wins you the game, it was perfectly costed.
Yeah.
If it costs 500 or 600 points to kit out a Connoneer and put it into this new brick of Huskarls, and that thing just tears ass and wins you the game, then cool. I guess that's a perfectly well balanced and costed unit that I'll build around paying for. But overall, like, it does get, so that's the caveat. They are looking a lot better overall, but to get the most value out of them, like, you're leaning into them cost wise, and that potentially
could be like a no bueno.
Yeah, but it could be a trap as well. Trolls.
Invasion 1.
Went up to Invasion 1.
Were they Invasion 0 before?
Yeah, I'm quite sure they were.
I haven't updated. Yep, they were. I haven't updated my app, so check that real quick. Yeah, that's
all well and good.
That's nice. Their defense 2 going down to Invasion 1, so at least they're getting a save in case someone like hits them with Cleave 2 or something. But like, I don't think that fixes their main problem. I think they need a healing. Like, I think they need to specifically have regen say it works while they're broken, basically. And then I think you increase their additional stand cost up more for it. And then maybe even drop their regen down to accommodate for that. Maybe drop it down to 5 or 4 or something. Like,
I think that,
but I don't know. I feel like you can get into a weird spot with that as well. Like, well, then you get
Regen
back into
6 seems right because you either get a stand back or you get a stand and a half back.
Yeah. So. Yeah, no, but I think that needs to be the change where it's like the healing has to work when they're not broken, and then I think the Nords players would love them, but I don't think Evasion 1 quotes fixes this unit.
I mean,
they can get to Evasion 2 with the Volva. Don't get me wrong.
People are focused on the defensive aspects, but I think even bringing them up to Clash 3 might make them a more.
Well, they were Clash 3 before, back in 1.15.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's something that I think we can potentially go back to.
Yeah. Well, they were Clash 3, Cleave 2.
Yeah, when they were Cleave 2 before as well, so that's something as well. Like, Cleave 1 is, I don't know.
Especially on a medium, there's really good.
You're not breaking the game by giving a Cleave 1 unit like base Clash 3.
No, there's tons of stuff that can get to Clash 3 and then Inspire and still be Cleave 1. Like Household Guard do it.
Yeah. So I think if they clear a little bit faster, then their paperiness is maybe less of a liability.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm always like the problem with both of the glass cannon factions to me, and again, what the fuck do I know? But just from
greatest
playing experience. Yeah, I mean, I am the world's greatest Woodroom player.
I'm totally just like blowing smoke up your ass because I'm totally just like, yeah, fuck it. You've been doing this to me for so long.
But they really don't want you to be too. I don't know. PB in general really doesn't mind giving good defense numbers, but is really cagey about giving good offense numbers. And this is, I feel like a case where, like even the Ugars, for instance. Well, no, they get Clash 3 and they're Cleave 2, so like, and they're pointed, like that's the other problem is like. You save 25 points by getting Ugar, you get another Cleave. The healing is, like, you have to be careful with them because they're paper, but you also get impact hits.
I think if you... So Trolls are in a weird spot. I'm fine with the Clash 2, I'm fine with the Cleave 1. I think you have their regen be regen while they're broken as a special rule specifically for them, or other things that have like some natural healing that isn't from magic.
Well, no, PB like hasn't shied away from giving.
That's like the lore reason.
Data sheet specific special rules. So this would be a place where I think.
Yeah, they have a data sheet special rule which allows their regen to work while broken, and I think the regiment works, or they only heal up to full for whatever stand they have. So if they have 6 stands, they take 9 points of damage, so they lose a stand, and the last stand's on 3. They activate, they basically heal that 3 wound stand back up to 6, and that's it. No matter what. Like, that's another option. But
yeah,
that'd be a data sheet specific. So, like, they can take hits and lose stuff, but you have to kill it stand by stand, so it really prevents chip damage. But then Regeneration 6 also already prevents chip damage.
Yeah. The only thing is, like, if it's how do I phrase this?
It should be the tanks of the blooded.
I see what you're saying with the regeneration rule there. The problem for me that I think arises is it becomes like, I don't know, it kind of makes us a standstill on both sides of the conflict, because, like, fuck, what am I trying to say? I had it phrased perfectly in my mind and then I just lost it. Like, because not everything is going to be able to peel 6 wounds in an activation necessarily.
No.
Like,
a unit of Merc crossbow is going to do 4.
There's definitely, I think that leads to situations where you just get locked, where it's just going to, like, you're doing about, like, if you're doing 4 to 5 wounds every activation and they're healing back 6, but never getting more guys and never losing that stand, like, it's just, I mean, I guess eventually they'll just drill your guys out, but
well, yeah,
I don't know.
That would be, in quotes, their design spaces. They're a grind, like they're a meat grind, like they're a grinding unit, like they're a tar pit.
Yeah,
that's a tar pit. You did the terminology episode, you were there for it.
It's just, it's a weird, I don't know, they're in a weird design space just because there's, the unit as a whole is very sensitive to very small changes. So, yeah. I guess we'll see where they land. I still don't think they're worth taking, all things considered, but
no, same.
Evasion 1 is nice, I guess.
You can say the name of this one, Ulfhednar.
Ulfhednar is probably what I'd go with there.
They dropped 10 points, and their additional stands went from 70 to 65. That's it. Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, they're fine.
They are they mediums? Yeah, they're medium. Like,
the Bloodlust stuff makes them, like, the changes does make Bloodlust a little bit cooler for them, because now you can do some stunty charge from reinforcements.
Well, you can take a Shaman, get Vanguard, charge, Clash.
Yeah, or even just, if somebody is playing too close to the sides, you can punish that. Things like that with them. So that's kind of cool.
I think that's why they're costed 200 points, because 8 attacks, Clash 2. You can take I think it's the goalie upgrade for like 30 points to get blessed on them. So, and then you just bless their attack rolls, because Clash 2 inspiring to 3 is going to be better than their just base defense 2, like trying to keep them alive with that.
Yeah, they're there to die.
And they also have lethal demise that says, kill me, please.
Yeah, so, I mean, I know that other people, like, they weren't really probably what I was going to run personally, but I know other people were underwhelmed by them as well. So this, I do think the army rule change and then these point reductions probably raise their stock a decent amount. Getting 8 attacks in there, and potentially being able to charge from a 7, like, you're essentially, you're a weight of fire horse at that point, but not impacts. Clash 2 stinks, but whatever.
Yeah, but they
more
have an upgrade to get around it. And there is a spot for them, what I do like. Next one, we got the Golter Beast Pack. What is the Pig Boys? 140.
Oh, hold on now. We glossed over the Fenner Beast Pack.
Did we?
We did. We've gone up to 140. But it looks like they just before the Golters.
Oh, you're right. They're way at the bottom of that other sheet. I have 2 pages open.
So 140. So they got a point increase. 2 evasion.
That's good. I like that.
Yep. Terrifying 1. They're more of their original strength was
they're 130.
Mine is saying 140.
Oh no, sorry. They were 130 before. Now they're 140. So they went up.
Yeah, they went up. But they got some stuff. Terrifying 1 is whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's if you're opportunisting them, then actually it's pretty good.
Yeah. especially because they're rerolling morale and they're -1. Like, that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I think Parabellum is trying to get them off of zones and into people's flanks. Like, that was what they designed these guys to do. And so increasing their base point cost incentivizes that, because now Nords player are going to look for cheaper options on top of them being restricted. And then also incentivizing them for that terrifying 1 opportunist to kind of get into the side, because then you're getting your benefit from opportunist for rerolling your Clash 2. It's going to go up to 3.
Mm-hmm.
Your terrifying 1 with the reroll the morale. Like, it's going to be a lot of rerolls you and your opponent are going to be doing when these guys hit from the side. Evasion 2 just keeps them around a little longer. What's nice, 4 wounds each. Yeah, Evasion 2. Like, I'm not. Evasion 2's fine on them. And that's what I think is going on here, because I know yourself and a lot of other Nords players just took Fenris Beast Pack and they were just objective sitters because they were the best for it.
Yeah, so now when you lament that this is gone, you can thank me for spreading the gospel.
Specifically you.
Yeah, I was the one who revealed this power move to PB and had it taken away from everyone. You know what? The next time a good combo comes along, I'll do it again.
I'm only here to ruin the game, not give to it.
Yep. I don't give a shit. My fun is other people not having it.
Yeah.
But no, it's I mean, to be fair though, we did say that they were the second best objective chud in the game after Men-at-Arms on this very podcast.
No one, literally no one can beat the objective chudness of Men-at-Arms.
It's very true, but these almost came close, but now they're 100% out of that space, and this makes them, weirdly enough, and I don't know if people see it the same way, but I feel like this balances them against hunting packs as well, just by taking them off the point, whereas hunting packs were never able to cap, but that's something that made them feel worse. So now that they're less of a just throw them on the point and forget it type unit, it does raise the value of other units, similar type of animal pack units as well, in a weird way.
Should we get to the big
the hog?
Hogs. What were these guys before? I think these guys were dirt fucking cheap, and people were like, how the fuck are they so cheap? They were 110 before.
So good. Yeah.
Oh my god! At 110, these guys were the next greatest objective chuds.
They have
Brutal Impact 2, Impact 4. At 110 points, they would have been the perfect objective points. You didn't care about their output, but now, once again at 140...
my whole list would have just been thrown hog. Like I would do my best to run nothing that wasn't.
You could still throw hog though. The problem is that they're Clash 2 Impact Cav, and because they don't get any Spire, there's no way to give them shock, any of that stuff. Your Impact 4 per pig. You're going to get, what, like 3 Brutal Impact 2s, whoop-de-doo, and then you're going to be Clash Tier with 8 attacks. Like,
yeah, I think
that's the thing that's really going to do damage, but if you're looking for an armor break, this is not the regiment to do it with.
No, the impacts are strictly a bonus, but having a Movement 7 unit that can throw 8 relatively low-quality attacks onto a unit is huge. And then Lethal Demise.
Yeah, the auto kill because they're defense 1.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Merc Crossbows love these things. It's like, every hit is a kill!
Yeah, I mean, that's something to play around as, but if you don't have anything that's going to deal with them before you're, like, ideally, these pigs, and it is a big investment for what I'm envisioning here, but you want to throw them into a unit, get your Brutal Impacts, get your attacks off, have them die, and get those Lethal Demises off, and then hopefully gum something up so that your next guys can get in there and do the thing.
You know what these guys are also really nice about? Triggering Unfulfilled Prophecy. Them and the Fenrir Beastpack are also both great for that, to either trigger it or benefit from it.
Yeah.
Like, that is a rule, like that army rule has to be in the back of your mind for all of this.
Yeah, and these are because with that rule in play, like if you have somebody stuck into your Valkyries or whatever, all of a sudden these are going up to like 9 charges, and that's insane.
Yeah.
Men went to war for those charge distances in the past.
Yeah, look what happened to Household Knights. Speed 7.
Yeah.
I wish they were back to Speed 8 and took a tourney champion back to fucking Charge 10.
Yeah. So I think like a lot of the strength of this unit, I think, becomes how you can conceptualize creating like.
I think Nords going forward is going to be fast layering hammers. Like they're gonna have, like I like the lethal demise guys because they get in there, they set up your +2 for your other regiments who get in there because they're charging for a third away. They can hopefully get into the side better now. And then when they kill this thing off, they're fucking taking exploding hits in the face. Like, there's gonna be Nords has something going for it nowadays, and I do like that. And I'm really excited what Nords players come out with. But we haven't even got to the Giants yet.
Yeah, but yeah, I think I don't know. I don't know what I was gonna say there, but having what I was gonna say is like. Versus Wadroon, where he sees more lethal demise. I can't really speak to the Spires into things.
Don't worry, I've been touched bad.
Not smart enough. Lethal demise is not my first pick because, like, I'm blooded in Wadroon because it feels like they need to be doing stuff, and so it incentivizes them dying, which becomes a feel bad. But with something like this, like, your hog explodes in their face, and then it dies, and then they take more hits, and then you're like, that's perfect, and then it's gone. Like, if you think about it as a missile and that you're not going to be having it survive that first engagement, then it has a lot of utility for setting up then like a left hook and a right hook and then an uppercut afterwards, you know, in terms of your subsequent charges.
Here's a thing. I think all these rules are going to build into these two last regiments that don't even get any updates or changes, the Bear Sharks and the Steel Chosen, because they're Cleave 2 base, Clash 3 base.
Yeah.
And I think these are your, like, because they're March 5 and getting that +2 on the charge is going to be so beneficial for these two units particularly, to confirm those charges. And these are going to be like your closers. Like,
yeah,
you have so much weird shit running around who are hitting and then dying and then exploding and then being anvils, and then you have these two regiments who are the Cleave 2 heavies, who are Clash 3 base, you know, one has 4 attacks, one has 5, and they're going to be doing a lot of work. And then you have your Jotnars coming in.
Yeah.
I think, like, yeah, I think there's going to be something really good going on. Oh, Nephilim Beast Pack. Jesus Christ, these guys look good too. They have shock. They actually work.
Yeah.
Like Cavs should be. Should we get to the Sea Jotnar then? Like, I'm liking Nords.
Yeah, they're looking a lot better in light of this.
Yeah. So, Sea Jotnar, you are Movement 7, I think. Let me just check the app real quick. Sea Jotnar. That's nice. I don't want you yet. Where the fuck are you? So, it went from 230 to 240. Still has 13 attacks. Still Movement 7. The Sea Jotnar from a free volley action. So it's no longer a free additional volley action. So you're not shooting twice a turn. You just get to volley for free. As an action. And
yeah.
Then you volley for free, and then you can have your other two actions do stuff. So you could shoot, charge, clash. You could charge, clash, shoot into melee because you have a specific thing that says you can shoot into melee, or the thing you're engaged with. But now you can no longer volley, charge, volley again because it's not a free additional one. That's the change there.
Yeah.
So it stops the double shoot. What I think this is like more of a clerical cleanup, similar to what. Should we go? Well, Mountain Jotnar. I think this guy just went up 10 points. That was it.
Yeah, and then he
lost the blood.
Impacted by the army rules. So.
Yeah.
He changed the movement too.
Oh no, he had the movement 7 before. No, he went up 20 points. He used to be 170. He's now 190. Ooh. Right. Mountain Jotnar.
That's fair. He was good value for his points, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and he lost the army rule. Does he benefit from any of these army rules? Actually,
He got.
I just want
I
to kind
don't
of
know that he
reread.
necessarily would because he's a monster base. That's the thing. The army
He
rules largely.
he gets the hindering terrain and water one.
Oh yeah.
All the monsters get that, but then everyone else gets everything else except for Cav don't get the +1 attack one.
Yeah. So I mean, he got touched, but he was pretty good. So
Yeah, he's a good beat stick. Do you think the 20 points extra in the loss of the army rule is going to see the decline of the Mountain Jotnar, or do you think people are still going to take him?
the lost the army rule less so. Like it was nice, but he was already good without it. It was just
Yeah, well,
it's just additional cake. But
he does have a lot of cake.
yeah, he is quite caked up. But I think it's the additional points that make him a harder sell now. Honestly,
Yeah. It seems like all the Jotnars got more points because now the Ice Jotnar got changed to 260. I think this guy was 140 before.
Yeah, and they cleaned up his spell.
No, he was 250. Yeah. Yeah, and cleaned up his spellcasting. So once again, an Ice Jotnar may perform a free spellcasting action, no longer the free additional. So it gets rid of the double cast, what was never intended to begin with anyway. And so now they're just making sure it's one cast, making sure it's one range attack from the Sea Jotnar. I like these changes. I think I'm not 100% sure if the point increase though was warranted for all the Jotnars. They probably could have got away with staying what they were before. Maybe the mountain could have gone to 180. But that's kind of a more will people spend for that or will people not? Like it's really sitting on that edge, I feel.
Yeah.
But they're still good. They're still strong. Like the fucking Ice Jotnar's cleave goddamn 3 for some ungodly reason. Well, not some ungodly reason. More like he's cleave goddamn 3 with all the other shit he's doing. Of course, he's gonna cost a lot of points.
Yeah, he's but you know what though? It's pretty easy. Like you can fold a Jotnar easily enough too. Like it doesn't have that many defensive abilities, and its defense is only middling. So and you have to burn a spellcast to get one defense.
Yeah, and there's times you'll do it, especially on the approach. But if you want to get a lot of work done, then you're using that attack spell.
Yeah. So Ice Jotnars, they're expensive. They have a lot of capability, but they require a lot of finesse. So I think the point adjustments were again to just disincentivize. Like for some reason, you'd think the dinosaur faction would be the one with a skewless problem, but it's the ones with just really big guys that seems to have.
I think it was because they were competitively costed and easy to unlock with a cheap mainstay. Like,
yeah,
like think about it. Raiders were 110 points, and then you could take a 170 point Mountain Jotnar with a Jarl, and the Jarls are medium, so you had a scoring option. So you take 2 Raiders, 2 Mountain Jotnars, Jarl, so you have a scoring option. Duplicate that Warband again. So now you have 2 scoring options, 2 Chaff, 4 Mountain Jotnars. You go into a Shaman who takes Raiders again and another Mountain Jotnar, who then gets also the Vanguard move for everybody, or for 2 things per turn. Or you go into a Blooded for getting Flank to get all your Mountain Jotnars out. Like, you had a list and you had a lot of options to do with Nords. And the Mountain Jotnar in particular was just like, okay, you're too competitively costed. We need to bump you up a little bit because you're kind of list locking Nords in currently.
Yeah,
and that's why there's some point drops on a couple things, and there's some adjustments, and some things just got buffed a little bit. But I think the army rules themselves being changed really helps Nords out just overall. I'm so glad these 3 got added to it.
Yeah, it's looking at it in its totality. Like I glanced at the rule changes earlier when they dropped, but this is really the first time kind of diving into it all in its totality. And like, I don't know, I see a lot of potential here. I'm gonna have to run some lists to really get a feel for it. But yeah, I think I think this all sets up a unique playstyle within the context of the other factions without it being just like a one-trick pony type of thing. And yeah, I think it's generally good, and I'm excited to see how it impacts things, especially in light of the upcoming changes to the scenario pack.
Yeah, I'm really happy and I'm really impressed by the changes to Nords. Overall, is there anything that I didn't like or thought was weird? Maybe the Mountain Owner can come down a little bit, but then again, I know why they bumped him up, like kind of figuring it out.
They also needed to give you a reason to run Uger in light of versus the Mountain Yatnar, where it was more of a skewed towards.
There's a 20-point difference for such a like there's 20 points for such a huge like difference. Like, how do I say this properly? The 20-point difference between Uger and the old Mountain Yotnar, you got so much more of the Mountain Yotnar and the flexibility and movability of the monster. Also, it was at full effectiveness until the moment it died. While any regiment that gains additional stands, they lose effectiveness as they lose stands.
Yep. And the Uger had just worse stats in the defensive side of things, so you weren't losing capability and you were tanking hits better on the deal too.
So overall, I like the changes. I think Nords players are probably going to like them a lot. I think Nords players should start building around with this. Really keep in mind your army rules. Print them out on a piece of paper and staple it to your chest. Or actually, better yet, staple it to your opponent's chest so you can read it when you're playing them across the table.
If you're really serious about playing Conquest, you're going to translate the army rules into Nordic runes and then
tattoo them,
do scarification into your body with them.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's called the BonkTable challenge, and I think anybody who's serious about Conquest should do it.
Yeah, and then you can eat a Tide Pod while you're at it. Helps the pain. Yeah,
exactly.
Fuck. Oh my god, should we move to the next one? I don't even know what the next one is.
That's it for the Nords, actually, so I think we're moving on to the Dweg.
Perfect, let's go to Dweg.
Yeah.
I guess
we're gonna see.
So before we begin Dweg, I want your hot take before we go in here. Are you happy with Dweg, or are you not impressed by Dweg?
I think they were pretty conservative with the nerfs. Overall, how this is going to impact the totality of the game remains to be seen, and I feel like I'm probably going to see things a little bit differently as we run through them together here as well. But overall, it seems like rather than strictly getting nerfs, they just got some side grades.
I feel their top end did come down. However, I feel their bottom end did not come up. So they are in a better place, but I don't think they're going to be the kings anymore. I think that now allows them to be much more manageable and players can play into them. However, I think they need to have more list diversity, because I think the regiments that were being picked before are still going to be picked.
Yeah.
Like that part hasn't changed. Like in the sense of the tournament winning competitive list is still going to remain the same, even if its top end offensive capability or defensive capability has been reined in more to be more manageable. It's still that good. But it's not so good enough now that we would have to make a podcast episode about it.
Yeah.
So
that's fair. It's one of those things, like, I'll preface this by saying I'm reserving judgment on a lot of these changes until I actually play into them or play lists with them.
Oh, so yeah.
I feel for them, but
like we could like, oh, this thing's gonna be really good, and then we play it and we play it and we play it and we're like, no, this fucking sucks. Or it's like this thing that no one really cared about, it's like, oh, it's actually really good. Oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, if you like when you're building a list for the first few times before you've played a bunch of reps, and you see that a Conanier can have evasion 3 and smites on all of its dual hits, you think like, wow, that's really the combination of things to take, and then you get shot
To death.
to death before you get in dueling range, and you're like, that was a big point sink. So like, it's some say even if you're really good at theory craft, it's you just don't know until you get the reps.
Or you get charged by a bunch of household knights and the entire regiment's dead.
Yep.
Yep.
Also very possible.
So, supremacy abilities, the Argent army rules did not change. Still the same. So we still have the shit tickets.
Yeah.
So, for the Argent Killua, Righteous Annihilation. For the duration of the battle, all friendly command sets add +2 to their attack characteristic. This supremacy ability is always considered to be active, regardless of whether the character stands currently on the battlefield or having been destroyed. Okay, cool. In addition, once per battle, the Argent Killua can activate supremacy ability. All friendly riders add +2 to their charge distance when they charge an enemy regiment that is within range of an objective zone. Okay. I'm moving my hands around like I'm trying to like conjure something here, but I feel like this is kind of weird. What do you like? Am I right? Am I wrong? Please help me. Like I feel
so it's a weird one because it's almost, to me it feels like kind of an inversion in many ways of a lot of the rules space that we saw the Nords just go into. Like,
yeah,
+2 the attacks on your command stands is fine, but there's really, I don't think, much play in terms of like making a build around that or that being the thing that wins you games.
Yeah, because before these two were basically switched around. Like the movement thing was always on, while the attacks was that active. Let me check. Yeah, the attacks was the active one, and that was weird. So I get why they put the attacks being active, and the charge distance being, or sorry, the attacks being the passive part of the supremacy, and the charge distance being the active part, because you're going to activate the turn you want to go fast. But putting the caveat of if the enemy regiment is within an objective zone. So I guess if any part of your stand touches a zone to like contest or score it, you're now classified as being part of the objective zone, so now they can charge you. So if you're towing the zone and then sticking out really far, the Argent Killua can activate it and get you. But also, if you are not in it, they don't get anything out of it, but like you want to be in it to score to win. So I think that gets into like the scenario packet, because I know Parabellum was talking about the new tournament scenario packet that hopefully comes out tomorrow is going to get rid of all 12-inch zones and puts them to 9, so that it's like people who want to get into those zones can fight over them instead of being like on the edge of the 12s and being so much further apart that it's kind of hard to get close to actually fighting.
Yep.
So that will, like, it's weird, but I can see where they're coming from. But if you have a back-end scoring unit in that zone and then you run a speed bump or an anvil onto the other side of it to be in the way but not touching, like the supremacy doesn't do anything. But sometimes I want to go really far and charge something that's not even in a zone, because it's like these bow chosen are shooting at me, these curatids with the bows doing AP2 are just shooting at me and they're not in a zone yet. Like there's some of those things as well. So I'm like, I don't think it's there. Is kind of what I'm getting at.
It doesn't compete with the other supremacies for sure.
Yeah.
It's the charge thing is to make it more broad would, I think, be not the right decision, but right now it's too specific to really be like, to also have the layer of like you have to declare it and activate it as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you've done that and I have the ability to, why wouldn't I just back off a zone for a turn if I'm really that worried about you getting that charge off, you know?
Yeah.
It's worth losing 2 points for a turn.
Yeah, especially if you can like give up the points. Put yourself in a more advantageous position the next turn. It's gonna be scenario dependent, but I like currently right now without knowing scenarios, I don't think it's that great. So yeah.
It remains to be seen, but feels underwhelming.
Tempered Sorcerer didn't change at all. You double cast. Cannot attempt the same spell cast. Yay. We will get to you more, because some things did change to you, but it's not here where... I feel like maybe it... Not in the Supremacy, I feel like maybe it should have been more in the Army rule. There's some other stuff that changed, so like we'll find out about you. Tempered Steel Shaper had a bunch of changes, actually. So Ferric Embrace, for the duration of the battle, each time a regiment or character stand in this army spends an elemental potency marker, so the shit tickets, that regiment or character stand heals 1 wound for each potency marker spent to a maximum of 3. The heal is applied circumventively rather than separately. Example, should a regiment spend 2 potency tokens, they will heal 2 wounds instead of healing 1 and then another 1. I don't know why that's there.
Yeah, that I feel like is future-proofing. I don't think we're gonna...
Okay, then hopefully it is future-proofing, because I feel like that's just weird. I like that it's capped to 3, even though you can spend a max of 5. And I like that the Supremacy interacts with the tickets that they're trying to generate, and that it's not more consistent, but you can choose when you want to do it instead of like hoping to have a big turn heal like once per game to everybody. You now can just like spread that healing out more, but it's maxed out by how many tickets you generate to a maximum of 3, but also doesn't do anything if you haven't taken any wounds yet. So if you're using the tickets to prevent damage to wounds you haven't taken yet, you don't do anything, because like what's the timing on this? So
it looks like it kicks in when you're already cashing in a ticket for something.
Yeah, so no damage has actually come into you yet. So it's a thing that happens after that first hit is done and you've taken some damage. So I guess it's trying to incentivize, take your first hit, the second hit comes in, you start spending your tokens to prevent the damage, and now to heal up the regiment.
I think this has the potential to be possibly very strong. How that manifests.
Yeah. I like it. My problem is I don't think you generate tokens fast enough if you're taking him as the warlord, because, well, maybe. So you take a Tempered Steel Shaper who brings 2 Steel Forged, and you run around with him. So he's generating a ticket a turn because he's just either buffing himself or buffing others. You don't really care. You just cast a buff, and we'll talk about him, but he auto passes buffs now. Then you take your 2 Tempered Sorcerers who are both casting a spell each. So there's 3 tickets a turn. And then you grab or you grab 2 Tempered Steel Shapers and 2 Tempered Sorcerers to generate 4 tickets that way. And then maybe if you're feeling like frisky, you go into an Argent Killua for some ridiculous reason. But his spells are kind of crap. But I think he has a buff, so hold on. Where are your spells? Where are your spells? I think you have a self-buff spell, but doesn't really matter. Tempered Sorcerer, Magma, Earth, Fire, Tempered Steel. No, here we go. So you cast Resolve, where they lose the broken status. As if it performed a rally action, the target does not count as being activated as a spell. In addition, you gain the Inspire roll. You basically cast Resolve onto a random friendly unit to just buff, like, generate tokens, and you somehow generate 5 tokens a turn that way. By basically just buffing. And then you spend the tokens that way. That's a build I could see. I don't know if it's strong at that point, because I feel like you're putting a little too many points into characters at this point. You're not just doing fire spells. You're not double casting fire spells out. So I would like to see Dweg players play with it for a bit. and kind of get back to me and see how it feels and how it actually operates, because this is a very much a positioning supremacy that's going to benefit how well you have those tempered sorcerers, tempered steel shapers around your regiments within 8 to use the tickets and then also apply these heals. And if it is enough, like, are Dweg things getting wiped out in one turn? Yes, no. If they're not getting wiped out in one turn, are they getting wiped out in 2 turns because you spend the tickets, you heal, and then you take the damage, and then they're still dead because of it? Like, there's that going on. It's got a lot. It's interesting, but I think it's really going to come down to how players play it, how opponents work around it, and if your opponent is good enough to kill your shit in like one activation, or they do enough damage where the healing doesn't matter because they're too low on health to survive the next attack, then it's not worth it. How difficult it is to do all this. How is your list building if you're trying to get in that many characters to just generate tickets? Like, it's all those things.
Yeah. But, and that's, I guess, the trap that a lot of these abilities are falling into so far, and I'm just going to scan the next one, too, before we talk about it. Really, even with all the changes, like, that potentially has the heals for the Tempered Steel Shaper. It has the ability, like, it potentially can be impactful. I still don't know why you wouldn't just choose Elemental Puissance.
Yeah. Still really good. Really good. There have been changes to tone this down, what I do appreciate, though. But still really good.
Yeah, still really good.
So let's go to Hold Ray. I'm going to have to read a Minomancer Apprentice at some point, though, because I got to remember what the hell this guy does. So, in the presence of the Minomancers, during army list building, the Minomancer Apprentice may be purchased free of cost. In addition, when a medium-heavy regiment that has this character stand currently attached to it within the range of an objective zone, it always counts as seizing an objective zone. So, once again, the scenario packet isn't out of time of recording. Is this for characters can no longer score zones, but then it's in a medium or heavy? So what does it matter at that point? You're a medium or a heavy. You're automatically scoring it anyway. Or does this one in particular mean the character in that regiment, no matter how many contesting stands your opponent has, you just score it no matter what?
I honestly, I think that's probably what it means.
I think so as well.
It just gives you just sticky objectives.
Yeah. What I do like, but I don't think it's good enough to beat out the Tempered Sorcerers or the Tempered Steel Shaper currently.
Yeah.
But it is nice that it's there, but still not enough.
Yeah, it's. I don't think that's because
he used to give +2 attacks to command stands, so it is better.
Yeah, without changes to how zones are contested and so on, it's hard to evaluate that. But
yeah,
right now it doesn't feel like it's quite there. But maybe we'll have different opinions tomorrow.
So, just for a refresher, a Minomancer Apprentice, while this officer is present, this regiment gains a Fearless special rule. When this regiment command stand challenges an enemy command stand to a duel as part of duel action, the target enemy character stand decline. If the target character stand declines, then the regiment becomes broken and the duel action ends. Okay. So you gain Fearless, and if could the characters not, like, when the command stand dueled, couldn't you decline anyway? And still end up broken because you declined? Like,
no, before it was if you, and it might still be the case, but you can decline a character stand challenge, or you could. Oh, I guess there's not really without the Neiman, so you can't do it. But yeah, before you could just, that was part of the difference between a duel from a character, because if it was just the leader of some regiment, you just be like, shut the fuck up, I'm not going to fight you. And it's like, why would you have to? He's just some guy, and you're hard mommy or whatever.
You're a person. Okay.
Couldn't go a whole episode without bringing up hard mommy, so
never ends.
Get that out of my system.
Yeah, I Tempered Steel Shaper, Tempered Sorcerer is still good. Give the Supremacy a choice. Like
he did get a point adjustment, the Steel Shaper.
Yeah, I think he went up 10 points. He used to be 90.
Yeah.
Well, he also lost his resolve characteristic, so he died, obviously. He's now an undead creature. Old Dominion got their hands in him.
Nice.
No, I think it's because he's just a living suit of metal. I think maybe that's the
implication. They're so advanced in being a magic weirdo that they just don't fuck with regular folks anymore. So I guess
they crushed they crushed enough healing rocks and snorted it that they're like, I don't need resolve anymore. I'm with the bath salts now.
Yeah.
So he got
enlightenment.
Yeah, so he got a couple changes that are just on his data sheet. Indifference towards life. This character stand cannot be affected by any interference. That's really nice. Furthermore, the regiment this character stand is currently attached to does not become broken as a result of this character stand declining a duel. Also really nice. Finally, the character stand does not have a resolve characteristic and is always considered to have passed any morale or resolve characteristic test. Yeah, because he's dead. This character stand does not confer its resolve characteristics to a regiment they are currently attached to. That's really good, because then if the regiment they're attached to gained a null resolve, that'd be really, really good, but thank goodness it does not. So that's just kind of resolving his no resolve, because he doesn't care about anyone. He has critical field. When this character stand chooses a regiment they are currently attached to, or an enemy regiment they are currently engaged with as the target of a spell during a spellcasting action, the spell is automatically successfully resolved. Oh man, as it had scored the amount of successes required. So you auto buff yourself no matter what, and you can automatically cast upon any regiment you are engaged with, because his 3 spells are. I'm just gonna read them out really quick. Nope, that's the Fire School. Here we go. Give a regiment +1 clash, so you automatically give that out to any of your friends. Actually, you can do it to your enemies too, because it doesn't say friendly. I don't know why you would, but you could. Temper Plate. The regiment gains Hardened +1 special rule to a maximum of 2. I think there used to be just Hardened 1, but now they've changed to Hardened +1, because I think it's supposed to tie in better with the Herald of Stone. We'll get to you. And also went to 10-inch range, so I think that used to be 12, so now it's 10. All these have scaling. And then Unmake Armor is target regiment suffers -1 to his defense characteristic in the end of turn. So if he's touching you and you're an enemy, you're probably going to get Unmaked Armor automatically. If you are further away, he has to actually roll his dice. I like the changes to the Tempered Steel Shaper. I like what they're doing. I believe he cannot take a retinue. Yeah, there it is. At the very bottom. Mm-hmm. The Tempered Steel Shaper does not have access to a retinue because he says, fuck everyone else, I'm too old for this shit. Yeah. And it's literally just that's the statement, he can't have a retinue, and then it's lore reasons.
It's because they're too weird. So that resonates with me.
You are the Tempered Steel Shaper?
In the sense that I'm too weird and people don't really like to interact with me if they can avoid it. Which suits me fine. It's perfect arrangement, but observably the case.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But it looks like just some little changes to the relics. I think a lot of these were just more housekeeping changes.
Until we have to. So, something that everyone has to know is that during the happy hour, the Parabellum developers said Dweg is no longer getting the Bastion at all. So, anything that had Bastion has been changed to Pardon or something else equivalent. So there's a lot of anti-cleave in Dweg now, but they are no longer getting that high defensive stat, as well as Defense 5 has been removed from the game. So anything that was Defense 5 is now Defense 4. So with that out of the way, Until We Have To banner was when you're on an objective, you got +1 defense. Now it is just you gain Harden 1. That's it. So nice anti-cleave right there. The Crown of, I don't even know how to pronounce this, Ushaladoha. The infantry regiment this character stand is currently attached to gains the Burnout draw event. The Go Fast, +1 clash, eat some decay. I actually like 20 points for this, and it's an armor. Like, that's pretty good. pulled away, slapped that on some Dragon Slayers, and you're like, fuck it, man. We're Clash 5 now, inspiring to reroll 6s, and we're going zoomies. You'll kill someone.
Yeah, with a little foresight and a little setup, you can get a lot of value out of Burnout. I mean, it's so good that it became part of Warbred's kit from an option, so...
Yeah, especially for 20 points, like, this is good. I like this. Yeah. Steel enhancements, the character stand gains hardened 3. I don't know why you'd ever take this.
I guess because you're going up against that Ice Yacht in our SKU list.
Yeah, but it's a character stand.
You need to shut off. Oh, yeah, no.
The character gains hardened 3. Like, I guess it's a cleave shut off for a duel, but like 15 points for really that? I don't think it's really worth it. Like, just
take Quicksilver.
Yeah, you're fine. Just kill them before they kill you. Like,
yeah.
Because that's you taking this.
That's the flaw with defensive-oriented character upgrades that are character-specific, I feel like, is that you can wear as much armor as you want. The guy with the Quicksilver is just going to kill you first.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes like, did you waste the slot on Quicksilver? Okay, well then you win, or you didn't. And no, you don't win.
No, you don't win. We scroll down a bit, we get into masteries. The Bergotten Ray is for the Hold Ray Warlord Hold Ray only. Specifically the Warlord. Yeah.
That's a funny word. I'm going to have to look into the etymology of that after this.
Yeah. So it kind of forces you to take a Warlord Ray, and we've already kind of determined that supremacy is not that great. So, however, he gets to gain the Infernal Rider special rule and must choose to ride an Ironclad Drake in their warband. Furthermore, the character stand gains the Flawless Strike special rule. Is that Smite on ones? Why do I feel like that's Smite on ones?
No, Flawless Strike's a Smite on ones. Sorry.
Okay, so he gets Smite on ones while he's riding the big Throne Fire Drake. Pretty cool. Probably gonna be an awesome model. Like, I looked at it in the catalog, looks fucking sick as shit. I don't think you want the Ray as your Warlord, though. And you have to take a Warlord Ray to get this. If it said just any Hold Ray, that'd be like, yeah, whatever. You're probably going to do this. But a Warlord Ray is a really tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, without the Warlord thing, like, if you were just taking a Drake, and you were taking a Ray, or it might even be an incentive to throw a Ray on to that Drake if there's another way, unless that's the only way to get it. But either way, I think without the Warlord condition, this would be great. But with that Warlord condition, it's essentially a 0 out of 10.
Yeah,
just because there's no use case for it, because you're not going to be doing that.
Well, okay. Well, some players are actually going to do that because they want the fucking Drake, and I don't blame them one bit. But I don't. But I mean, from a competitive standpoint. A competitive standpoint.
Well, I mean,
I'm fucking around with you. Go ahead.
It's not like a Warlord Ray is never going to be more optimal than. So, like, if people want a cool model or they want the flavor of running the Drake, then yeah, sure, they might choose a Warlord Ray. But nobody who's going to want to go and win games with Dweg is going to make that their first pick. I don't think.
Yeah, I think it's a flavor Warlord. This is something you kind of pull in on casual game night, something you want to fuck around with, something you want to have some fun with. I think if you're going to an event and you want to win, I don't think you're picking this at all.
Yeah, the reality is, having messed with it across a couple of units and a couple of regiments for many months between the two factions that I play, Flawless Strikes is nice, but you can't build around fishing for smites, so...
No. If it just said Hold Ray only, this was getting played. And maybe that's why there's a restriction there. But yeah, it's that's a tough pill to swallow, and I did not catch that on the first read-through. So, good thing we caught it.
Yeah, but I feel like, so again, without that Warlord condition, 20, so you can say it's a 20-point upgrade because the 5 points is for Drake Rider, essentially, or Infernal Rider. 20 points to get Flawless Strikes all the time is not bad. Really. I mean, I just said that it's not something that you can build around, but in terms of the bonus output, if you have 20 points kicking around, you could do worse.
Yeah, you could. So we got the flame, or was this Orentry? What the hell? I can't even say
Oratory.
Yeah, it's for the Argent Killer only. The regiment with the carriage stand gains Tenacious for 30 points. I think you're throwing this in Flame Berserkers. Tenacious is a good rule.
Tenacious is good, but 30 points does feel pricey for it.
Yeah, and maybe that's probably why it's not going to get picked that often, because it's a little too expensive. Maybe if it was dropped down to 20 or 25, you'd see it more.
Yeah.
Well, Focus. Should we talk about Focus now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, once again, stated back for the Nords, Focused is... what the hell is it? Reroll 2 failed spellcasting dice. Rolls when performing a spellcasting action. These rerolls can be only used in 1 spellcasting action per activation. So the double casting Dweg Fire Tempered Sorcerer, who's rerolling all their 2 fails per action, no longer gets it. And this is basically what it was for. That changes for this guy. Because now they are looking to reduce the Tempered Sorcerer's great offensive output, where he just immolated all these regiments to death. Many a time, I've had 2 regiments basically burned to a crisp from a Tempered Sorcerer. It's been great.
Yeah.
So
this is a reasonable reining in of this ability.
This still keeps the power on that first spell. What's probably going to be Fireball. Hasn't changed. But now you're not getting Flame Walled to death, because Flame Wall's also changed. But there's a bit of that. Also, that really long one went down to 14, same as Fireball. So you are
that's good, because what was its range before?
It was 16.
Yeah,
was the spell.
So you were just getting blasted across
Corsoration. I don't even know what the fuck that word means.
It's
I'm just gonna Google it.
You know, like a sine wave?
Oh yeah.
That's coruscating. It's going up.
Gleam or flash of light. Sudden or striking display of brilliant wit. Yeah, thank you.
I've always interpreted it to mean like a wave type motion, but I guess I was way off. So learned something.
The internet's amazing.
Yeah, I should look at that more often.
Yeah. So, last thing on here for the masters, we have the Hellbringer Sorcerer. Tempered Sorcerers only must have the School of Fire or Magma. I believe it was Fire before. Now you can take Magma as well. I think this is basically done because they want to kind of get players to look at Magma as well as the school, because they've redone all the spells in it. What I do appreciate, and I'm interested in them, and I kind of have to hold reservations for Magma because I need to see how it's played out. But right now, there's a couple issues with it for it being picked over Fire. So we're gonna go with Fire, and then we're gonna work our way down, because each of these schools changed. So Fire, once again, Corsoration changed from range 16 to 14. Still does the same thing, 1 hit per success. Fireball, literally the same as before, 1 hit per success, AP2. Flame Wall, range 8, 3 scaling, inflicts 1 hit per success on target enemy regiment. If at least 3 successes are scored, target enemy regiment cannot gain the Inspired Special Rule as a result of a successful charge until the end of the round. So, if someone is 8 inches out, you Flame Wall them, they don't get Inspire when they charge you. It's not going to be doing a ton of dice work anymore, because before it was, if you had 3 successes, you would count every file as a point of damage, or was it rank? Ranks go back, files go side to side. So wherever the one was left to right when a regiment was, you would get an extra hit or 2 from that. Actually, I can go check it out because my app hasn't updated.
Wait, I thought files were front to back, because that's why it's a single file lineup.
Oh, that might be. Let me just go check it.
It's the system that I've been using.
So it used to be infect 2 hits per success on target enemy regiment. If at least 3 successes are hit, Flame Wall also affects 1 hit for each file in target regiment. Suppose the files go left to right. That's what I've learned. Because it's not like it's a blast of fire across you, it's just a wall. So the offensive capability of Flame Wall is now decreased. Instead of 2 hits, it's 1, and it's not gaining an extra hit per file. So Flame Wall just killing all chaff and doing a ton of hits into heavier, more tanky things, and then getting into resolve, because I think Cathodic Flame hasn't changed at all in here either. The fuck are you, Cathodic Flame? I know you're around here. Yeah, Cathodic Flame hasn't changed at all, so the reroll and resolve. So it's no longer the you got too close and didn't kill me first insta-death spell. It's now doing same level of damage as Corsoration while getting inspired. However, if the enemy regiment is engaged with you, they're just going to action inspire and then attack you anyway. So it only takes that inspire special rule away for a result of charging.
Yeah.
I do like these. This does rein in the Tempered Sorcerer in a lot, actually. The reduce of range is really good. The reduce of flame wall, just obliterating people when they get too close, is really good. Fireball staying the same is fine. It's still doing damage, and it's that armor cracking spell, but the other two aren't doing enough support to really push it over anymore.
Yeah.
Also being tied to range 14 kind of straps the Tempered Sorcerer in more with the Fireforged, who are still a mainstay. But overall, I do like these changes to Fire School. However, I do think people are still going to take Fire over the other two.
Yeah.
You want to do Earth School?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Roots of Stone, the effect was adjusted, so now, and I couldn't tell you what the previous effect was, so I'm hoping Mass will take the lead there, but target regiment that is not activated yet this round receives +2 defense, but cannot perform a march, charge, reform, combat reform, or withdraw action until the end of round.
Yeah. So before, you could target regiments that are already activated. You could put it on friendlies and enemies. Now it's before they've activated. What kind of forces you into a more positioning part, and it's going to probably be used more defensively, because once you get your regiment, what's going to be that anvil there, you activate the Earth Wizard, he puts that spell on, and then that regiment will go and fight whatever thing it is in. Or if you're trying to be a little cheeky, you try and throw that onto a regiment that wants to charge you because they can't move. So you get it off before they can. Or, you draw your card before they draw whatever's going to charge you. My kind of issue with this spell is that it's range 10. So it's not that great trying to stop people from far away. And even people at mid-range, they can probably still get to you because of 10 inches away. So I think it's going to be used more defensively instead of offensively to make sure that people can't go anywhere. Broken Ground hasn't changed. Target regiment cannot perform impact attacks on its next charge. Range 14 is probably that sweet spot for it. Rock Shape. Target regiment gains the Tenacious special rule until the end of round. It's scaling and it's range 10. If a Herald of Stone officer is currently present in the target regiment, then it also gains Indomitable until the end of the round. I kind of like this because the Herald of Stone, we'll get into him more, but he gives like Harden +1 to the regiment. And I kind of like this, giving Tenacious, giving Indomitable, re-rolling a Resolve from Indomitable, I believe is what it is. It's been a while since I've had to use it. Or is it Auto Pass? Might be Auto Pass. Fuck.
Yeah, they're both Auto Pass.
Yeah, so there we go. Auto Passing Defense roll, Auto Passing Resolve roll. Really nice for keeping people alive.
Yep. It's,
But you're casting this, like, defensively.
Yeah, the trouble is, there's, like... It is a good spell. Those are good abilities to get, but I don't know if it's outclasses the other picks that you can be making. Even if you're just trying to get your survivability up with a unit, like, I don't know. I guess it's a little more broadly. It depends, I guess, on what you're casting it on. Like, Roots of Stone gives you more defense overall, and like the Malices, I don't think really matter all that much. The thing about Tenacious and Indomitable, I guess, more so my broad complaint, is that this makes it very easy to put it on the units that shouldn't be getting it, which are ones that already have pretty decent defense and resolve in the first place.
Oh, you want to throw this on Thanes?
Yeah, whereas I think that Tenacious and Indomitable, just as design-wise, should be more so be going to low resolve and low defense units, where it becomes more of a normalizer than a No, fuck you. I actually don't take any damage this activation.
There have been plenty of times where I've had this happen where it's like, I think it was into like I've had it happen in a Fall Divinity where it's like they've saved a bunch, blessed off a bunch more, and then like Tenacious off the last hit.
Indomitable that way.
And it's like, or I've had it into, I think it was like Court Squires back at 1.15 where like Tenacious kicked in and Indomitable. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? My problem with the Earth School is that it's very reactive. You're not getting work out of any of this. If you mess up your timings, your opponent is quicker than you, or there's too much going on. Like there's other fights you need to deal with first. You might not get stuff off in the proper order to be relevant. So it's a much slower tempo. It affects how you interact with the game. What leads to it kind of not being that great, and that's why Fire is still on top currently. Before we go into the Magma School, we've got a complete rework. So, Magma School. We're going to start with Eruption. And we're going to start talking about erupting and all this other crap. So, Eruption. Range 8. Okay. Now what do? You target a piece of zonal or garrison terrain. Counts as erupting. And this is bolded, but I think that's kind of like more like you put an erupting token down. Erupting does this thing. So, until the end of the spellcaster's next activation, so it has to come full circle back to you, all stands currently within the target piece of zonal terrain suffer one hit with the armor-piercing 1 special rule. These hits are treated from being infected from the flank of the regiment. Magic doesn't cause you to re-roll morale, but it does get around phalanx and shield. Yeah. All stands currently occupying the target piece of garrison terrain suffer 2 hits with the armor-piercing 1 special rule. So it'll affect... You'll put it on a piece of terrain or a garrison, and it'll affect the amount of stands that are touching it for 1 hit. So it's not... It's attunement 3, and it doesn't say hit per success. You just do a hit per stand. So if there's like a 6 block of guys in there, you're doing 6 hits at armor piercing 1. Let's say it's in like a force or something because it's really easy. Okay, I'm pretty sure you can output like 7 armor piercing 2s with Fireball from 14 inches away instead of being 8 inches away from a piece of terrain. Because depending on the size of the terrain, you could be pretty close to this regiment and then getting charged and killed the next turn or whenever they activate, what is kind of an issue.
Yeah, it seems like spiritually it's meant to punish like units that hide in obscuring and shoot out of it and things like that, but I just don't think it has enough output to really accomplish that in a significant way.
Yeah, like it's not going to do enough into like bigger blocks, like bunch of Gilded Legion, bunch of Huskarls, like other things, shit like that. I think its range needs to be increased. Like, put it to 12, put it to 14. Like, you know, you want to keep the wizard safe. 8 inches is too short. 8 inches is like yourself buffing a friend. Like, the closer, like, you want to be further away because you're not going to get enough done with this ability. And being only 8 inches away, this is just asking to be killed.
I think right now it doesn't really have the like any sort of identity. Like I think if you kept it at short range but it did more hits, that would be one way of doing it. If you kept it at longer range for the same amount or fewer hits, that's another way of doing it. But right now the risk to reward is just not there.
Yeah. So yeah, not that great. Next one we have Magnetic Seep. I'm going to say Steep. Range 10, Attunement 3. Nominate a point on the battlefield within range, even one beneath a regiment. The area within 3 inches of the marker counts as a piece of erupting zonal terrain with the hindering terrain special rule. The terrain feature remains until the end of the round. I like this one more because 10 inches away, you make a 3-inch bubble, and if you put it in the center of a regiment, now they're in hindering terrain, so if they charge out of it, they lose like their impacts and inspire. And then if you're running a dual wizard at this point, because 10 subtract 3 is down to 7, your eruption within 8, you can trigger the hits on them immediately. However, once again, I think that's going to be a little like doing that combo is still once again too close. And that's why I'm like, put the eruption up to like 12, put the magnetic seep to 14 or 12 as well. Like, kind of, get out there. What I think you'll be doing more with this is that you will be 10 inches away in front of the regiment. You'll plop down your hindering terrain. You'll have another regiment in front of that, and your opponent has to get through the hindering terrain to hit that other regiment that you're using to screen with. So that, I feel, is going to be more what's going on. Next, we have Pyroclastic. Can you say this one? Pyro something.
Pyroclast, yeah.
Oh, okay, so I was kind of saying it right?
Yeah, you were right on the mark.
Oh, shit. Once again, 10-inch range. Infects 5 hits on target enemy regiment. These hits have the armor piercing 1 special rule. This spell must target an enemy regiment within 5 inches of an erupting piece of zonal or garrison terrain. Regardless of the spell's range or the spellcaster's line of sight, these hits count as being inflicted to the flank of the regiment. I kind of like this one more than Eruption itself, because Eruption is trying to get that erupting ability onto, like that erupting keyword onto that terrain, so you can Pyroclast to just do 5 hits at armor piercing 1. So you can kind of like duel these together into an enemy regiment, so that they're taking like 10 AP1s, and you can kind of also bounce it off a terrain if it's erupting. The next thing I do have to talk about, though, is the Arc Nodes. The Herald of Fire and Herald of Magma have become like nodes where you can cast spells out of. So, Herald of Magma, while this officer is present, this regiment gains Aura of Death 2. In addition, pieces of zonal or garrison terrain this regiment is currently within or currently occupying count as erupting. This regiment does not take hits as a result of spells from the School of Magma cast from a friendly character stand. So, Herald of Magma, you Aura of 2, you run into a piece of zone. The Magma Wizard casts Pyroclast onto the zone, and then 5 inches from the zone you go hit someone. So you can do like a little bit of weird wacky bouncing shit with your Magma School. I kind of like that. That seems fun and exciting, and I think this has places to go. My issue is I think it's too short, and I don't think it does enough to be on par with the Fire School still.
Yeah.
Like it's not enough to justify leaving the Fire School, and also it's way shorter.
It's genuinely an interesting design space to me. It's a way that no other faction thus far interacts with terrain, so I think that's cool about it. It does feel like they're playing it safe. So I think we'll probably see those ranges and those outputs get adjusted in time, but this feels like they were trying to be careful with their first implementation of it, which isn't out of line. But I actually, as somebody who will complain about Dweg at the drop of a hat, I would say that this is probably one of the cooler things I've seen out of the faction overall, just the whole erupting mechanic up to this point. It would be nice to see it become more relevant, but it becomes like you don't want Dweg to just become the shoot you with the floor regiment or like army, right?
Well, that's what it was doing before. It was like you get shot in face. I do like this. I like the bouncing. I like the interesting effects you're doing with terrain. I like making terrain not safe for your opponent. It's not enough to really push opponents off of terrain. Like I think I think you're right with this is kind of hunting weak MSUs that are just kind of getting through terrain, but like at that point you're too close. Like how the fuck did you get within 8 inches of a weak MSU? Like the weak MSU is probably trying to shoot you, or they're trying to score something. Like how'd you get over here? Kind of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, by the same token, like if I have slingers in a forest, generally you're running something at them, or else you're just getting pummeled until you do it. So
yeah,
I think you can potentially, like with something like Fireforge, to tempt somebody to approach, you can then set up some stuff with these that might be interesting. The other thing I want to double check is hindering. Like the advantage of Magmatic Seep is if hindering is one of the ones that really messes with charges and impacts, then being able to just deploy fucking up somebody's charges at will is pretty good. I'm just going to quickly double check what hindering does here. Very professional, very put together and practiced way that we do things. Where are we here? Of course, it's taken my whole life to load anything. So, hindering terrain. When at least half of a regiment stands, rounding up, charge to this piece of zonal terrain, the regiment does not inflict any impact attacks during that charge action. In addition, medium and heavy regiments do not benefit from the Inspire special rule during a round in which at least half of these stands, rounding up, charge to this piece of zonal terrain. So, if you know there's a charge coming,
drop her.
Yep, just pop that down and fuck it up.
I think you run 2 Magma School Wizards if you're going to do it, though. Because I think you need the breathing space to have the one without the dual cast set up the Magnetic Seep, and then have the one with the double cast Eruption and Pyroclast it.
Yeah.
Just to get those hits. So I like this. There's something going on. It needs maybe a little bit more maybe it goes to 7 hits. Armor piercing 1.
Yeah.
Maybe the range of Eruption goes to 10. Maybe Magma Seep and Pyroclastic go to 12. Like,
yeah,
it's too short range is what I'm getting at.
That's what it feels like now, for sure.
Yeah, I like this though. This is it's almost there.
Yeah, I definitely want to see them take this further because this is interesting, and it gives Dweg something that they don't.
Something to do.
Well, it's just something that's unique about them, you know. Like, I mean, they have things that are unique about them, but nothing like that interacts with the terrain in this way. So,
and they're the perfect faction to do it with too.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So overall, I'm gonna that's to me somebody who doesn't really want to give anything to the Dweg. That's a big win for them.
Dweg deserve nothing.
Not in the sense of I don't think they deserve to have anything. It's just I don't maybe not everybody is a hater on the level that I am, double professional. But
you're a professional hater.
Yeah. 100%. And even if somebody's doing something right, I don't want to give it to them. It doesn't matter. There's no objective truth. You don't, just because somebody's doing something the best that anybody ever living has done it, you don't actually have to tell them that they do. It's a little life hack there. But nonetheless, so it's, I don't want to give anything to anyone that that I don't like, but I'll give this one to the Dweg. This is good design.
Yeah. I'm gonna give Parabellum props. They're on the right track with this, and I want to see them go further.
It's also the other thing is this game is, and this isn't a criticism necessarily as much as an observation, but it's very much narrowed in scope in terms of you've got these different styles of ancient warriors, and they fight. And that's pretty much what they do, and their spells either make them tougher or make them better at fighting. So now we get into more parallel design space with this, which I think is something that the game could benefit from a little more growth into. But yeah, that's all. Temper plate on the tempered steel shaper that goes to 10 inches for the range, and the text for the effect changes to the regiment gains the harden +1 special rule until the end of the round to a maximum of 2.
Yep, it's fine.
It is what it is. It's just I think it's just mostly bringing that spell effect in line with what Dweg do now.
Yeah, because it used to give harden 1, while Herald of Stone used to give Bastion. Herald of Stone gives harden 1. Now it just gives harden +1, so you can stack it up. You can also throw it on Dragon Slayers, give them harden 3 for some fucking reason. Fuck you, Minotaurs.
Yeah.
Oh my god, we're finally into regiments.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to go back. Focused? I don't know if this is intentional or not, but it lost the Arcane 3 caveat on it. I just noticed that now.
Yeah.
So you don't need Arcane 3 to take focus. Nice. Okay, let's keep going.
It's not a bad 15-pointer at that point. Without the retinue requirement, it's It's a choice for
I
sure.
probably would actually do Arcane 1 and focused on chapter mages. Like, handily.
Yeah.
Then I'm just fire darting at almost optimal efficiency, because Arcane 3 gives you an auto success, but like good enough for as point investment I want to put in there. Fireforge, I believe a lot of these are just going to have the Herald of Fire at 25 points. So, yep.
Yeah. Hold Ballista, Fireforged, Hold Warriors, all those are correct. So the first one where we see a substantive change, it looks like, is the Wardens.
Is it Wardens?
Go to 190 points and a 6-inch move.
Yeah, because they're going to be similar move to the Argent Killua, so you can run around with them and they can be fast. However, Initiates, what you skipped over, are attack 4 instead of 3.
Yeah.
So, good on them.
Dragon Slayers, I think, went up in points.
They went up 10 points. I don't know if they need to go up 10 points. I kind of thought they were fine at 210.
Yeah, Dragon Slayers has always been to my mind, one of the most well implemented units in the previous version of Dweg. So adding 10 points to them, they're fine. They do what they do. They're not overtuned. I don't think they
deserve the 10 points.
But I don't. Yeah, I don't think they needed to go up 10 points, but they did. So fuck you, Dweg players.
Sorry, guys. I don't think you need that one. Hold Thanes also went up 10 points to 200 instead of 190. With the changes to the Herald of Stone, I don't think they need to go up. But
no. Their Herald of Fire cost goes to 30 points as well.
Yeah.
Which is reflective of them being a more valuable unit.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the Herald of Stone was Bastion before, I think 200 points would have been fair. But Herald of fucking Stone is going to give them Hardened +1, so they're Hardened 2 with Defense 4. So that's, okay, maybe Thanes are fine, actually.
I think
Thanes are fine at 200 because of the Herald of Stone change. Like, yeah, it sucks that they're putting that upfront cost on the regiment itself and not on the upgrade, but like I feel like that's maybe where it's coming from. Like, if you take that upgrade, like the 200 points makes sense, but why would you put on the upgrade? However, like I could, the fucking Hold Thanes are still really good at being Resolve 3, Defense 3 the Shield, and Harden 1 with Cleave 1. Like, they're still good.
They're good in a brick. They do have, well, we said they have counterplay, so I don't hate them entirely.
Well, now they have more counterplay, but yeah.
Yeah, they're okay. They're whether or not they need to go up in price, I think they're a little bit of a slept-on unit overall, just in terms of what I see people running and talking about. Like, they have their place, but I think that they're...
Well, here's the thing with Hold Thanes. I think they're a really great mainstay anvil for the Dragon Slayer Restricted. Like, that combo, throw in a Hold Ray. I think that, like, that little dip for your Tempered list is just really nice to do. Gives you a really strong anvil, gives you a really strong hammer, while the rest of your list is getting blasted to death by wizards.
Yeah. It's just a little over a quarter of your points. Like, it makes sense as like a module.
Yeah. However, I think we're going to talk about the Ironclad Drake, because we've seen the picture for this thing, and it got changed around a little bit. But I think Hold Thane mainstay going up to 200 points is also might be because of the Ironclad Drake, because it's kind of a nasty beast, and so putting your mainstay option up, making your good mainstay option a little more expensive, kind of like pays the tax a little more for it. But you could also take like Hold Warriors for 130 and still take it if you really want to. But yeah, should we get on to Infernal Automatas and like finally be happy?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? They got nerfed.
Yeah. I mean,
they got. Hold on, let me go check. Yeah, they went from Movement 8 to Movement 7. Good. They're from Clash 3 to Clash 2. Good. They're still 5 wounds, Resolve 3, Defense 3. Like, okay, whatever. They're restricted option at 180. I think this helps a lot.
It does. They're less of a threat early game.
Yeah, they're slower. They hit less. They're still resilient at 5 wounds, resolve 3, defense 3, evasion 2. But you're not worried of just watching Infernal Automata just chew through shit until they hit a medium of appropriate size or a heavy.
Yeah. I'm personally of the opinion that still, as a general rule, there's a little too much evasion flying around. I wouldn't take it away entirely on the automata, but I'd maybe drop it to a 1. But maybe I'm being...
Yeah, I could see that. Like, Dweg has some weird evasion plate. Like, it has evasion on some weird shit sometimes. I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah.
Should we get into the Steelforged?
Yeah, Steelforged.
Oh, Steelforged, Stoneforged, Magmaforge? Nope, Magmaforge were already 4. They all drop down to defense 4. That's it.
Yeah, that's the long and short of it. Looks like Steelforged gained, or they had an evasion adjustment in any case.
No, that was just leftovers. They were, they were evasion 1 since May.
Nothing in the game should be defense 5, so
I'm
step in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm glad that did change. Like, yeah, I at 210 points, defense 4, cleave 1. They still get the flux power. They're more manageable. This thing I could probably, like, if they went up to 220, I'd probably feel better about them. But like at defense 4, I think
they're still going to be nightmarish. Like,
yeah, they're still a pain in the ass, but like they're restricted slot option. They're in the Tempered Steel Shapers Warband. They have, I want to say they almost have enough to justify what they're doing at this point. And I'm kind of leaning of just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. This is sort of a let's see what happens type of thing. Like, at least
they're no longer super oppressive, and like I would have to see games with them now to see. Yeah, it just.
Yeah, I think there's definitely pathways to handling them that didn't exist in the past.
We go down. We got the Ironclad Drake. I'm just gonna go and
unreleased model, so I've never looked at the stat line before now, personally, but I see some red numbers.
So I can tell you the differences. It was 210 now to 220. It was 13 attacks down to 12. It had 14 wounds up to 17. Defense 4 down to defense 3. Cleave 2, Relentless Blows, impacts. Oh, impact. It was impact 8 before, now it's impact 6. Still has Terrifying 2. Is that brutal impact? Oh, it gained brutal impact though.
So this is essentially a better Apex at a competitive price point.
Yeah. And I think if you want to be mean with it, it's also heavy. You grab a unit of Thanes, you buff them up in a brick, you grab an Ironclad Drake. If you're Ray is the Warlord, you slap the Ray on this thing because all games of Eternal, friendly character, and command stands within 8 inches of this regiment count as having the Flurry special rule.
And that takes it over the top. That's where it starts to become very point efficient when you're giving just a free aura buff.
Yeah, but it's only for the command stands of all those regiments and the and friendly characters. So the Ray riding this thing is
going to be some of your best hits in terms of. I don't know. Like, I do think it's really good. Like, with the condition, maybe it doesn't make it like a 250 point unit, but it does feel like it's at that point undercosted.
If it said within 8 inches all regiments gained flurry, then I'd be like, yeah, that's fucking ridiculous. But because it's just the command stand itself, it's much more manageable.
Well, for the most part, yeah, but I think putting flurry on a lot of these characters, like on a hold Ray, for instance, is going to be.
Oh, he's going to be killing the world.
Yeah. So it depends. I guess the impact is really going to be in how you use it, but I think it potentially could be quite powerful. But I just think with the rules that you are getting there, contrasting that with the cost and the stat line of an Apex, which they tell you that you can't do, but you can to a degree. I do think that you're getting a lot of value for the cost.
Oh yeah. Hold on, I gotta go check. Hellbringer Rider, this mastery. Let's choose a road from the overcharge as a draw event. Scrolling. Oh my god. Okay. Overcharge. Yeah, gets that. Okay, cool. So we're getting into the command models. Herald of Fire. This regiment adds +1 to its attack characteristics. A tempered sorcerer school of fire spells may target enemy regiments this regiment is currently in contact with to be the targets of these spells regardless of spell range or spellcasting line of sight. That's really good. Slap some of those Herald of Fires into a bunch of regiments. That's why they're 25 points, because the Fire Wizard is just going to start fireballing people out of random fire Heralds of Fire.
Yeah.
That's really good. Like it. Boosts the what is it? The Tempered Fire Wizard up. We talked about the Herald of Magma. This regiment does not take hits as a result, where he kind of turns any terrain the regiment he's in is in into erupting so that they can cast spells out of it. Kind of nice. Herald of Stone gives the Harden +1 special rule to a max of Harden 2.
Yeah, but
yeah, that one's fine. I like these arc nodes, like the heralds just like arcing spells out of them and such. I do like that. But it's
interesting, but
yeah.
It might prove to be very powerful.
Yeah. Infernal Rider.
I'm happy about this.
Yeah, monsters reroll failed defense rolls of 6. The character sign gives you and what army, so they no longer gain the Bastion draw event.
Yeah, which was dog shit because they took it from me first.
Yeah, they lost it. So overall, I like what's happened to Dweg. I like the changes that have been made to tone down the top end. However, I still think the Fire Temper Sorcerer and that type of list is still going to be strong and the one that's chosen competitively. However, I think all the other factions now can play into it and actually get wins out properly and not just be bullied into a corner anymore. Dweg now has some interesting options with the Heralds. I really like the Heralds, actually. They are a point sink at 25 points, so you're going to probably start throwing these on to, or even the whole thing's 30 points. Yeah, you're fucking 30 points because you're not going to die anytime, Hold Thanes, and the Tempered Sorcerer wants to cast spells out of you.
Yeah, at that point, if there's a Herald of Fire on Hold Thanes,
you know
go for the Wizard.
Yeah, go for the Wizard. Go for the Throat. I like the Toe Down and Infernal Automata. They were fucking ridiculous. You're a two-legged creature. Why are you out running a horse? I like the Arc Nodes at a Herald of Fire, Herald of Magma. I like the different point adjustments. Maybe Dragon Slayers didn't need to be 220. Hold Thanes, I kind of see why they went up to 200, though. I don't really like the Supremacy. I think more needs to be done with the Argent Kilowatt and the Hold Ray. Tempered Steel Shipper is very play dependent. What kind of matchups you're getting, how you're playing it, how you're using it, how you're generating tokens. Like there's too many questions to just answer right off by reading the new rules to really determine if you would take this over the Tempered Sorcerer. Because I still think you're going to build into Tempered Sorcerers because they're still that good. I still think you're going to build into Fire because it's still that good. Yeah. So I think the nerfs, like, I'm going to be honest, these are just basically all nerfs. Some things are side grades. Some things are new and really interesting, like School of Magma I really like. It just needs to be longer range. It just needs to do a little bit more damage to be a good option to pick from compared to Fire, what is just point and click, get your work done.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't think this is the end of what needs to be done to get Dweghom there, but I think it's a solid start. I'm interested to see how it plays out.
Oh yeah. This is all good. Like it's very much like tone the top down, but didn't really bring anything up. What maybe should have happened, especially in the Argent Kilowatt. It's kind of like the weakest out of them. And we've kind of saved the change we want to see, but yeah. I don't think Dweg is top dog anymore, and if so, it's going to be a way tougher fight than what it used to be.
Yeah.
So, I'm happy where Dweg is and going.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, should we go to Spires?
Yep.
Close that one down. Oh my god, Spires. Ah! Alright, so army rules. The sovereign lineage, because you pick a sub-faction. Superior creations. When selecting a regiment for any lineage highborn, high clone executors? Suppose I keep calling them executioners, but they're executors. And mimic assassins, warbands, you may increase that regiment's cost by plus 5 points per stand. If you do so, increase the regiment's clash characteristics by 1 to a max of 3. The maximum of 3 restriction on clash only applies during list building. And I think that's a clerical issue or error fix, because people, I think before you couldn't even get it past 3 when you were giving it other buffs.
Yeah.
Like shock and whatever else they got. Or burnout or something. They allowed the high clone executor to have this. Nice. Really good. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
So the second army rule is for the Ferromancer. It's the Underspire subfaction. The Unnumbered Miragerie. While the warlord is on the battlefield, all Force-grown drones, Onslaught drones, Brute drones, Strix regiments in the army gain the regen for draw event. I believe this is the inclusion of the Brute drones, what didn't have it before. I think everyone else had it. Okay, cool.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't think it's really that much of a choice, but I don't think Superior Creations might not be picked as much unless you're taking a Lineage Highborn, because Sentinel Incarnate's got a bit of a change. And we'll get to them when we get there. Blah, blah, blah. Supremacy abilities, nothing changed. Biomancer, nothing changed. Triclone Executor, nothing changed. Lineage Highborn, nothing changed. Ferromancer. Alright, so Parabellum has heard the word that the Underspires subfaction was the weakest out of Spires and not doing basically well at all, and was considered the worst thing since sliced bread. So they got a bit of a glow up, and the glow up was from adding Brutes to the regen pool for the Supremacy, and the Ferromancer gaining this new Ferromancy. What is Induced Lethargy? Lethargy. Am I saying that right? Is it lethargy?
Yeah. Lethargy.
Oh, lethargy. Okay. So it's a combat and out of combat action. Kind of nice. Target enemy regiment within 10 inches of the character stand suffers -1 to its defense characteristics to a minimum of 1 until the end of the round. That's it.
That's good, though.
Oh, super fucking good. Like, think about it. That's good for your marksman clones. It's good for your Vanguard clone infiltrators. It's good for your force controls. It's good for your band. It's really good for everybody. This is a phenomenal armor break of an ability. Like, honed, unmake armor from the tempered steel shaper. If the regiment is engaged with a regiment you're friendly with, or the regiment you are, no, if it's engaged with the steel shaper, then you can auto cast it onto something. And it succeeds, but then if it's not, you're just rolling dice at them. This you just pick a regiment, -1 defense to a minimum 1. Very strong. Works for everything Spires, actually. I would not be surprised if people took more Ferromancers just for this Ferromancy. And that's it.
Yeah.
What's your mainstay option?
It's not even a Ferromancy, it's just an ability. It's just an extra action they can do.
You just do it. You cannot, I believe there's a way to build him where you can cast, like, somehow you get, like, 2 Ferromancies. You can't do 2 Ferromancies. Or maybe you can do 2 Ferromancies. I think you can do. So the following Ferromancies.
One Ferromancy each round.
Not the Ferromancies. No additional cost may resolve. It says actually there. May resolve 1 Ferromancy per round. Yeah, so I guess you just do this. So can you Gland Burst and... Oh, it's an action. Okay, so you do this when you draw their card. Okay, there. I figured it out. I'm a certified genius. Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I would... So there's a little bit of an activation thing you got to do, but you just activate the character, do it, and they're -1 defense within 10. Super good.
Yeah.
Keeps going. Mutations. Cascading. I can say words. Cascading degeneration. The regiment this character set is currently attached to gain the Aura of Death 4. Special rule, I think the Aura of Death changed from something to 4 now. Okay, yep. 35 points. Probably good. Depends on how much frontage you're getting out of a regiment. Do some work. Not bad.
Yeah, there's a case for it, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'd never heard of it being a problem before this, so I don't really have opinion of it. But
next one we get on to, I gotta pull up the app because it's old still. Mine hasn't updated. Vanguard. Okay, so Vanguard Clone Infiltrators went down 10 points. Everything else stayed the same. And I think they went down 10 points because they received a bunch of nerfs in May, but did not have a point adjustment associated with those nerfs. So PB just threw them 10 points down because they lost. I think they used to be like range 16, then down to 14. No, down to 14. They used to be volley 3 down to 2. So they're like, okay, you can get a little cheaper for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Nah, it's a buff. Take it. Vanguard Clone Infiltrators still fucking good. If you're not playing them, you should. There is take them with a high clone executor, grab 4 stands of them, throw a high clone in there, give them like the marksman variant. They fluid reform, move, shoot, fluid reform, shoot at their butts, move back behind cover. Like, they're still really good. Rapid volley, whenever you roll ones, gets another hit. Like, it's just so good. What else we got here? Vanguard clones, the base ones without the guns. It went from 160 down to 150. Cheaper stuff. Cool.
Yep.
Then we got, well, you can also superior creations these guys now. What's nice.
Yeah.
So that's good.
That's very true.
Desolation drones. What happened to the desolation drones? You're the weird ones. You went from 140 to 170. So there's a huge spike. You went from Resolve 2 to Resolve 3. That's kind of nice. You have reprocessing agents. So at the end of this regiment's barrage, after defense rolls have been made and any wounds have been allocated to the target enemy regiment, that enemy regiment suffers -1 to its defense characteristic until the end of the round. Ooh, boy.
Yeah.
So you can Ferromancer, put the -1 armor on an enemy regiment, shoot them with Desolation drones who are Volley 2, Barrage 3. They're only range 12, so you got to get pretty close. Armor Piercing 1, Deadly Shots, Torrential Fire. Like, they're doing a lot. Doesn't Torrential Fire kick in like on half range though?
Yeah, so it's 6 inches. That's
kind of a dead roll. I'm gonna be honest. You're not taking them for torrential fire. If something ends up within 6 inches of you, like, just take it. Take that as bonus stuff. But then the reprocessing agents kick in for another -1 defense. So now that target regiment is -2 defense, and I think you try and do it. So I think what you do is you try and set it up, have a speed bump force grown drone block, get killed by, let's say, a 12 stand unit of Gilded Legion. Ferromancer activates, puts on the -1 armor. Desolation drones activate, put on the do the shots for another -1 armor, so they're defense -2. So now the Gilded Legion, let's say they're under the Imperial Officer and they are Bastion +1, so now they're defense 2. And then you have a bunch of Incarnate Sentinels charge them to just cleave them down to 0 and just cut everyone to death.
Yep.
Yeah. But also this affects all your other shooting. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Spires players go for like Marksman Clone, Vanguard Clone Infiltrators, Ferromancer, Desolation Drone, like shooting lists because of this. Because now you're cracking down to that armor with the Ferromancer and the Desolation Drones. And then you have the Vanguard Clone Infiltrators and the Marksman Clones doing like the actual damage work with that reduced defense to do some really good damage. Like, there's some good shit going on.
It's good, but also at defense 1 and 12-inch range, like, you are gambling 170 points to do the trick, which I think balances out the power of it.
Oh yeah, like, are they mediums? Yeah, okay, they're mediums. So I believe this is really a setup unit. I think its easiest application is gonna be is you get into a brawl with another unit where there's like a bunch of stands versus a bunch of stands, and they're kind of slowly chipping away at each other. And you have the Desolation drones just shoot them in the side, get that one wound through to trigger that -1. Do you even have to get a damage in? Have been made and any wounds have been allocated. No, you don't even have to. You just have to volley them. You don't even have to like get any successes. You just have to shoot them.
Yeah.
I think that's where they're gonna really shine in that sense. But if you're a good highly skilled Spires player who can do some more of that finesse weird wiggly shit that Spires is known to do, you can get a lot out of this unit, I believe.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's low range, but also, yeah, I think you just need one stand to just shoot a shot at a guy. That's all you care about.
Yeah.
You only need one bullet to make it.
Exactly.
We keep going down. We get to Avatara. Additional stands are now 55 points. I don't know what they were before. Avatara. There they are. Used to be 60, 5-point drop. Yeah, whatever. Leona Avatara. These are the Archer boys who are also centaurs. For some reason, nothing changed. They just have red text.
Nice.
Then we go down to the Sentinel Incarnates or Incarnate Sentinels. Why can't I find you? There they are. They went up 20 points. However, their baseline class 3 now. And their additional stands went from 55 points to 70. So you're no longer taking Superior Creation Incarnate Sentinels. What I do like, you are paying for that clash for 20 points and also your additional stands. But at that point, you're speed 7, you got 5 attacks or 6 wounds, you resolve 3, defense 4, evasion 1, like cleave 2. Like, this is very much like the brute brawler unit of Spires. You're not very tanky, but you have enough like defense 4 base with those 6 wounds that you're clash 3 with your cleave 2 with your 5 attacks, that you're going to be getting a lot of work done with them. So I see some really good things out of Incarnate Sentinels being this way. You also can you can easily like you could justify taking them with a Biomancer without feeling like you missed out on superior creations. What I also like about this, I like the new Incarnate Sentinels. What about you?
Yeah, they look okay. They get the job done. Like there's nothing exciting about them, but they're solid.
Yeah, I do like the class change though. That was a really nice one for them.
Yeah.
Next one, Desolation Beast, Aura of Death went to 8. I don't know if it was higher or lower, but the Siegebreaker Behemoth is the thing that everyone cares about because it's a giant shrimp.
Yeah.
So maybe the Siegebreaker Behemoth might change or something might happen to it before it comes out, but it's the same as before. Command models didn't change, and that is Spires. That was the quick one because the big stuff was really the defense change in the Desolation Drones and the Ferromancer. I like these changes. I think there's some list building that Spires players are going to be doing to get a Ferromancer. Look at Desolation Drones. Hopefully they'll come out soon. And the buff to Incarnate, like these are all good things what happened.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Spires? Not like compared to Dweg and Nords, like Spires was the least changed out of the 3.
It's nothing drastic, but it's a tune-up. The stuff that they did introduce is interesting. I like the defense killing mechanics that they're starting to get there, and just in general, like it's overall nothing too groundbreaking, but I think everything is good. So
I kind of think it's the fixes that Spires needed because they're such a low cleave faction that having stuff that reduces defense is kind of the way to go for them. Like it makes up for that a lot.
Yeah, it definitely does. It lets you set. It reduces defense in more of a setup type of way, which is consistent with the way they're designed.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to talk about? Do you want me to do OD quick? It's like 3 things.
Yeah, I'll knock that out.
Okay, so Old Dominion got a couple changes. This is a clerical one, just confirming that the Fallen Divinity, for its tier 2, in addition to the range of the Font of Dark Power special rule stated at 14, while other friendly regiments within the animated vessel special rule are within 10 inches of the Fallen Divinity, they add +1 to their attack characteristics, so it's other friendly regiments, so the Fallen Divinity does not get the benefit of the +1 attack. Then we get into the Archimandrites. Is this a Supremacy? Yes, Supremacy. The character stand may perform a free additional spellcasting action each round. This character stand cannot attempt to cast the same spell twice. It's always considered to be active. In addition, once per battle, you can reroll any number of dice when performing spellcasting action. So before, I believe it was you could double cast. Now it's a free additional one, so you could still double cast, but also you can rally cast, seek new escort cast. Like, you can do a little bit more finesse stuff with it, and I think that's really it. Yeah. Oh, Kier's gained loose formation. I think that's from before. Just scrolling. Oh, here we go. Apostle? Yeah, Apostle. The regiment gains the flank special rule. Furthermore, when the regiment's command stand is destroyed, the player gains 1 power point. This is for the cultists and the Hashishin. I believe they can take this upgrade, so you can start to get dark power out of the living units that Old Dominions have. So it's not just strapped into taking legionnaires. Is basically it. These small changes are nice. I like them. I like the clerical update, but Old Dominion needs like a full rework. So
yeah, they need a lot more, but I guess this is what it is.
Yeah, and then I think there's a update on city states with the strategic stack would basically clarify that you, at the end of the round, if you've not drawn the card out of the strategic stack, you have to draw it and play it before the round ends. So you can't just like store it between rounds. All your cards have to be played in your command deck and the strategic stack before you're done for the round. So I think there was a way that you could argue that you put a card in the strategic stack, ended your turn, went to like the next turn, that card in the strategic stack wasn't played, and so you had a card in the strategic stack, you could play it at any time, get a double activation, and then later on put another card into the strategic stack and just do it again the next turn. That's not how it is. You play your command deck, and if for some reason you haven't played your strategic stack card by the end of the turn, you play it before you go to the next turn. Simple as that. Just a clerical update.
Yeah, other than that, one of the characters, the Mechanist went to Priest 5.
Oh, good on him.
And they cleaned up the language on the Hephaestian and the Promethean in terms of how their spellcasting works, but that's just to get it in line with how that language has been altered across the board.
Well, I just want to check the Promethean before we go. Sacred Band, Promethean. Where are you? Did your spells... I want to check your spells, because I think I heard something about his spells changing for attunement values, because that was a big problem with him. I don't care.
Oh yeah, they changed to attunement 4, it looks like.
Try to find it. Fucking hate digging around for spells. Don't care about this. Cool. Yeah, attunement 4, because I think he was attunement 3 or 2. He was left behind compared to the Hephaestian? Yeah, compared to the Hephaestian city-states. Promethean. He was attunement 3 before, so now he's 4. So that really helps him get his buffs out, but however, he is pretty reactive, and he's also a giant pincushion for shots still.
Yeah.
Hespian, did you change it all? No? Okay, you're just still red anyway. Yeah, that's about it. Mike, how do you think about the update overall?
Good. It tunes up things that needed tuning up. I don't think we're all the way there, but it feels like there's, what am I trying to say? Things are like, it seems like they're trying not to just make too many changes all at once, which probably makes sense. But overall, everything seems like a step in the right direction. Nothing so far has been like when 2.0 came out and I looked at the Wadroon army list and just turned off my phone and did something else for an hour.
I'm pretty sure you left like Discords and didn't talk for 3 days, and I was like, "Where the fuck is Mike?"
I don't know if I was that drastic necessarily, but I was mad about it for sure initially, and then I got used to it, and then things got tuned up. But
yeah,
in any case, yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to play into some Dweg and see how they work out now, and to a lesser extent the other two. But
I think there's shit going on with Nords now because the army changes, and I hope Nords players really explore that. I'm happy with the Dweg changes. I like them. They're good. There's a couple things that maybe they went a little too far, like the Dragon Slayers. Probably didn't need it. I really want Magma to kind of come out because it's really interesting. I want to see what happens with the Steel Shapers. Like, there's a lot more thinking going on in Dweg. That's what I really appreciate about these changes. Is that it's not just like point and click.
That's fine.
Spires, kind of the least amount changed, but they were. I think they're all buffs. Truthfully, I think like they literally just got buffed.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. The Avatar increased points for extra stands, so that is a nerf. But I'm not super worried. But also, I think the -1 defense thing is just probably. I think people are going to dip into Ferromancers now for sure because of that, and just for that.
Yep. Yeah, I see that having play.
Should we wrap this up so we can go to bed?
Yeah, I think that's about all I have to say on these matters at this point. But I'm sure I'll have new opinions after I've had some chances to play some games. Have to find time to dust off my Nords. They've had a little bit of a break while I've been focusing on my Wadroon, but it sucks because the Wadroon are really fun and exciting to play right now too. So I'm complaining about having too many choices, which people always love to hear.
Well, that's your curse of playing multiple factions.
Yeah, it doesn't help, but it was an impulse decision, and now I have to live with it.
Yeah. So, if you like this episode, BonkTable has a Discord. BonkTable has a YouTube channel with battle reports and lore readings. Well, you already know we got a podcast because you listen to it. But yeah.
I really thought you were gonna go into the VeggieTales theme music there.
Oh man, I'm gonna put you to bed.
Do you feel like to? Anyway.
Besides that, I hope everyone has a great day. Bye.
Have a good one, everybody.
Now I'm just imagining the theme music is playing.
Oh man, where is it?
Okay, can you actually play it now?
I'm gonna do you one better.
Oh god.
I can find the one that, yeah.
Introducing the CC
From play an ad. Two ads, thank you. I love the internet, man.
I love YouTube Premium.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, it's the VeggieTales.
Squash and make you smile. If you
It's a rap version.
Potatoes.
God damn it.
Down the produce aisle. If we got a show for you. No, sir. Broccoli, celery, gotta be veggie tail, lima beans,
I have-
collard greens.
I have heard this before. Is the worst part.
Vanilla, veggie tail.
All right, I'm stopping the
Veggie tail,
recording.
veggie tail,